Hello, racing fans. Welcome back to the channel. Proudly sponsored by betting.co.uk. So we're just back with another weekend preview. We're also going to take a look back at the racing that we have just seen from the weekend, bring some best bets, and then have a little bit of a ramble with a little bit of an anti-post ramble with our special guests. But before we go on to our special guests, I just want to say thanks to everyone that's been tuning in, liking, subscribing to the channel. Our views continue to grow. It's nice that we've been able to pay you back with some winners. So if you're able to like and subscribe, it's completely free to do so. That would just be a nice support to the channel. Right, before we go on to our special guest, though, let's just speak to our wingmen first. Scotty, how are you?
Yeah, grand, busy time, Joe. But yeah, glad to be on an episode with two legends of the game. I believe Andy, first time I've met, so looking forward to touching base with Andy and Deco. Deco and I go back a long time, I think, don't we, Deck? I think Facebook days when there was no racing Twitter, so it's our first one together. So it's a bit nervy, if I'm being honest. Got a lot to live up to with these two boys tonight. So
Could have given it the old "oh friends," couldn't we? Like, James, how you doing, man?
Good, Joe. Good to see the lads on. First time meeting Andy, and I've known Deck for a while. Deck looks after us big time. Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah, great to see the lads on.
Awesome, awesome. Should be a good episode. Then, Deck, how are you?
All good, Joe. Thanks for having us. Delighted to be on. Looking forward to hopefully throwing a nice one your way at Cork on Friday.
Yeah, you said you're going to pay for Christmas with that selection for us. And how's Kendana as well, Deck? Just a quick word.
Yeah, he's out in the field now. He has been since a couple of days after Cheltenham in October. So he deserves his break. He really needs good ground. So, we're looking forward to hopefully another good season with him next year.
Yeah, some story. I've really enjoyed following that, Deck, and I think the rest of the Twitter have as well. Andy, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe. Living the dream. Yeah, no complaints here. Very excited to get going and join you guys and hopefully find some winners. Maybe not. I probably don't have it in the strongest deck source on a Friday at Cork, but yeah, I'll try and chime in where applicable.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm certainly unprepared for this week on the basis of tips anyway. So as long as you lads have got it covered, then we're all good. Right. So as usual, we're going to start by taking a look back at the weekend racing just gone. We'll move on to the weekend preview, maybe some best bets as well, and then, like I said, we'll have a bit of an anti-post chat with Deck and Andy as well. Right. I'm going to start with you though, Scotty. Your bet of the weekend was Bill Joyce, who won the Grade Two Betfair Novices Hurdle at Sandown. He beat Quebecois by 5 lengths. You've got to have been happy with that. You sort of planned the race Well, you got the race tactically right as well. What do you think of the performance?
yeah, it was what's the saying? Blind squirrel finds a nut one every now and again, So I was happy to get a winner at last, and yeah, it went to plan, didn't it? Really, I think coming to the second last, he was. I think the other horses like Quebecois and Pony Soprano, they were pretty much level with him, but he just didn't jump it too well. But he got away from them up the Sandown Hill, and like I said, he's by Marler, so traditionally a nice staying kind of prospect. So yeah, very impressed with his attitude, and I'm looking forward to seeing him again this season. I don't know what the plans are, but going forward, he's definitely one I'll keep an eye on. Maybe he'll run in something like the River Don in January, perhaps could be a target. But other way round, bit of better ground. I don't know how effective he will be, but yeah, I was impressed by him. I think the Courbevoie was slightly disappointing, if I'm being honest. I thought he'd be a bit better than that, but
Mm.
he put his head down and he tried to fight to the line. So he showed a good attitude, but I thought he would have got a bit closer, if I'm being honest, to Bill Joyce. But yeah, Kingston Pride was the one that was very disappointing, the Henderson horse in that race. But again, it was just down to the ground at Sandown. I think a lot of them just cried enough, and like I thought would happen, Bill Joyce put his head down and he was showed great attitude to win. So yeah, it was a nice one to get in the book and good start to the weekend.
Yeah, what I thought was nice about him as well was that he confirmed the placings with Quebecois. I think they finished the same order in the champion bumper, albeit they didn't necessarily run their races. But it was nice to see Bill Joyce effectively confirm the promise, and probably the softer the better for him. I'd say he could possibly go to the Challow Hurdle, but I know John Joe's got Mr. Megget for the race as well, who's a year older. Perhaps
I
he's
was,
more an ideal type.
yeah,
They
I
could
was
go
going to say
Chetty
Mr.
Queen.
Megget could run there. I mean, I think he ran, was it Johnny who ran there last year as well?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
he likes to have a spin at the Challow. But yeah, for me, I think Bill Joyce, I don't think he'll go to the Challow. I do think the River Don is potentially the one you may see him at.
Okay, cool. Yeah, nice selection there from Scotty. Nice to get the winner on the board. And Jamie's bet of the weekend was handstands, who won the Esher Novices Chase. Again, you got this spot on, Jamie. You said he needed 3 miles on soft ground. I mean, look, it was a hell of a performance from him. Great jumper as well on the day.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed, Joe. Exactly, you just took the words out of me. I think he needs soft ground to be seen at his best. He was pretty poor, I thought, in the Ballymore last year. But look, he was against a huge Gallagher, sorry, at the time. Huge Mullins battalion. Where he goes next is I don't know. Will he go to the courthouse there at Christmas at Stain Stevens Day, Boxing Day, whatever? I be have more him down. Is it the Reynolds Town in Ascot? I think that's probably tailor made for him. Would I
Ideally,
be touching him for Cheltenham? I think he'd need like a long press day, do a long press one in the Browns that year to be seen at his best. Proper soft, heavy ground to have any chance in the Browns. But I think he still could be at least 5 to 10 pounds off of most of the Willie Mullins brigade who turn up on the day. But no, he's a decent horse, and I'd have the Reynolds down in Ascot maybe more on his next win. I wouldn't fancy him now for a quarter star because the ground would be quicker at Kempton.
yeah, they
Just to
probably.
say, Ben Pauling, sorry, Joe. Ben Pauling said today the jukebox man's going to run in the
Yeah,
quarter, and he's going to keep them apart. He said, so yeah.
Ascot suffering.
Quarter, is it 2 mile for the quarter or is it three?
About three
No, it's
miles.
3 miles, I
It's
think.
three
Yeah,
mile.
bang on three.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Well, yeah, nice to get the two best bets of the weekend on the board from the lads there. Right, let's move on to some of the other racing then. I'm going to open this up to, we'll start with Andy, shall we? We're going alphabetical order. Loader Sud won the Henry VIII, Andy, by 3.5 lengths. Obviously went right-handed this time. He'd had some nice performances at Cheltenham. I mean, what did you make of it? He had Touch Me Not and Down Memory Lane in behind him. And where would you put him in
Yeah,
perspective
like he
of
had
the
two.
circle?
Right. Well, he had two solid enough Irish yardsticks behind him. I think down memory lane needs better ground to be seen at his best. Um, I don't imagine Gordon Elliott would have had too many issues with the way he ran, especially for a horse so inexperienced. Touch Me Not. He took one of the fences down the back straight to home with him, didn't he? So I thought he ran fine as well. He
Mm.
plugged on quite well. He's only a 5-year-old, as is Luda Sod, I think. He might be 6, but yeah. Look, I think he didn't do anything that was not expected of him. He was obviously visually very, very impressive at Cheltenham. Maybe slightly better ground suits him. He's beaten a better caliber of horse here at Sandown, in my opinion. In retrospect to the Arkle, look, he's without a shadow of a doubt the best 2 mile novice in the UK. There's absolutely no two ways about that. Where he'd rank amongst the Willie and Gordon or the rest of Gordon's battalion and Henry's battalion, it's kind of hard to know because we haven't seen too many from Willie yet. Obviously, we're probably touch on El Atlantique in a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's every chance of coming back to the Arkle trip. That's where I'd send him anyway. Look, the horse has done nothing wrong and he's clearly very progressive. He takes fence as well. There's not a lot to dislike about the horse. And obviously he's very young and progressive. Like, you know, I couldn't put anybody off him if they did like fancy him for the Arkle. I'd want to see a bit more. You probably know yourself, Joe. I'm not a massive anti-post player. I'm just happy to back a winner whenever I see value. But if people were looking for him for an Arkle as an Arkle prospect, I couldn't throw too many stones at him at this moment in time.
He's got that Cheltenham form as well. He seems to jump really well. What I liked about the performance was the fact he made some small, slight issues, but he still managed to just sit back on the bridle and found plenty at the end of the
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, he's very nimble. Like he's very quick from A to B, and it's what you want to see in a 2 miler. And you know, you're never worried that he's probably going to fall or anything either. Like he's very, very, he's like a natural, really. Yeah, and look, there's plenty to like, and I'd say he'd be a much better horse even next year as well. As he's still a bit of filling out to do. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't have too many qualms about him if you did want to back him for a race like the Argo.
Deck, do you share the opinion there of Andy? I mean, what did you think of him this weekend?
Yeah, look, I suppose it was fine, wasn't it? It was a small field. Down memory lane was probably never in it. I'd actually back Touch Me Not Andy Post for the Arkle, but was, you know, because he was 40-1, was happy to take a chance on that. But look, it's hard to know what would have happened if he didn't make that mistake at the railway fences. But the winner probably had him covered, and he's done it well. It's, you know, it's way too far out for me to be making a strong case for him to win the race. You know, it's been a slow start to the season, and I do think we'll see better. We might have seen better on Saturday in Atlantique. Like he quickened away very, very well. I thought he was more impressive in what was a competitive beginner's chase as well.
Would you have him as a strong contender, though, at least for the Arkle at this stage? I mean, obviously, I know you said obviously you can't make a full judgment just yet, but is he a
Loaded
contender?
food,
Yeah,
does
yeah,
it? Yeah, look, he's thrown his hat into the ring,
Hmm.
absolutely. Would I be? I don't know what price he is, but I imagine he's single figures, is he?
yeah, yeah. 7, 8
Yeah,
to 1, I think.
yeah, I wouldn't be rushing to back him now. At single figures this far out, like, uh, yeah. Look, as I said, he's thrown his hat into the ring, but I was more impressed with Il Atlantique.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Scotty, I know you really like Loda Sud, don't you? You must have been pretty happy with what he did at the weekend as well.
Yeah, yeah. He did what you kind of expected or what you hoped for in anything. I think it was a good performance, and like Beck said, I didn't think Down Memory Lane was in the race at all. I don't know if did he have a jockey change at the last minute as well? Down Memory Lane, one of them did in the race. Touch me not with Down Memory Lane, but yeah, he Down Memory Lane definitely on better ground, so he didn't run his true race. He was clever again, like Andy said. It's I just wonder whether I know he goes in the conditions where a better ground would actually help him. True run race at Cheltenham with a good to soft. I think he definitely have a chance in the Arkle. But I'm starting to come around to the idea that Sir Gino's going to go chasing, and I think if he does, then I think the likes of Loda Sud. Has he got a chance of beating Sir Gino if he jumps a fence? You got Majborough entered in the 2 mile novice chase this weekend.
Sure.
Um, in the pocket again. I said before the race, I said to you boys, I think he was sending Down Memory Lane over just as a yardstick to compare him how good he is against Loda Sud for the in the pocket reason, JP McManus. That's what I was thinking anyway. I might be wrong, but that's what I thought. But I'm just, if I'm being honest, like being a backer and putting him up as one of my 5 to follow, I just have this doubt whether he's good enough to win an Arkle. I think maybe like a fourth or a third is his realistic kind of thing. But if they put him in open company in the game spirit and he goes up against a good horse, if John Bond turns up, we'll know really how good he is. But yeah, he did what he said, and I'll probably make a better judgment after his next run if he does go in open company. But keeping my cards kind of close to my chest for the Arkle, yeah, kind of a bit 50-50 whether he wins it or not, like if he's capable of winning it. I just think he may not be quite classy enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like, it's all good to be 50-50. And Jamie, do you pretty much share the opinion of the fellas there?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with Andy as well about the better ground for down memory lane, and I think he was outpaced. So I think he's 2.5 miler, and if you got a
Okay.
bit of better ground on the Sunday of Easter before Easter Monday, I think he's definitely an old Power Gold Cup horse in Fairyhouse, the 2.5 mile Grade One in April. To me, he looks tailor made for it in my opinion. Ludus Sud, I understand Scotty's put him up. I can't have him to be honest. No, he's mustered around Cheltenham that day, all right. But no, there's going to be better horses over in Ireland. So it's just bad. But I agree exactly what Scotty says. Like, if you want to take the chance at 8 to 1 that Sergino runs in an Arkle, no, I'd be backing it now. Just take the chance. But I think we could see Ballyburn now move up to the Browns after Atlantic's performance the
Yeah.
weekend. That's just my opinion. He's still 16 to 1, I think, Il Atlantique to win an Arkle. I've backed it. I got 20s. I was seriously impressed. He just reminds me of Ergomean 2.0. I think he'd be even better at 2 miles. And exactly what Declan said, that was a hot beginner's chase. Like, you've Waterford Whispers and Goodland and that. Like, the problem with Waterford Whispers is you're going to get 4 more runs in him for a Cheltenham handicap. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. He's be more fairy house punches down towards the end of the year, but no, I think in Atlantic is the one to take out of all the 2 mile novice chases the weekend. Yeah. Well, that was 2.5. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been saying all through the summer, like El Atlantique be better, just letting him go off front. He's got plenty
Yeah.
of speed. Probably not quite hardened enough, perhaps, but he looks like a different animal this year. Let's actually stick with El Atlantique in that sense then. Deck, you were pretty impressed with him by the sounds of things.
Yeah, look, I just thought he quickened away quite well at the end of the race. He's in a deep enough beginner's chasing.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen a lot of deep beginner's chases in Ireland. Like, it's much easier to make cases for them. The form, there's much more depth with him. I thought that was really, really impressive at the end of the race. He just ran away from them, and he's very exciting now. Fence probably going to be the making of him.
Andy, similar thoughts? You sounded quite impressed with what he did too.
Yeah, and I was very keen to take him on. Like I've said this many times on tap with Deck. Like, this horse is clearly a 2 miler. I wanted to back him for the Supreme last year, and I'm still adamant he'd have gone close in it if he wasn't, campaigned over those middle distances. Look, I think Willie already said that there's a chance of him going back and trip, and as Deck said earlier, it's been a slow start to the season with very unseasonably quick ground. So I'd say this was just Willie Mullins trying to get his horses out, get runs into them, and maybe that's why he started at 2.5 miles. He was very, very impressive. He didn't really take much of a blow when he came into the ring. He did have a tongue tie on first time, which I thought was interesting. Because he did, look to stop quickly last year, especially at the Punchestown Festival. So look, I don't. He's worked fine in that tongue tie. He's beaten a good field. What I would say is that, I know we're talking about Arkle prospects, but because the Golden Miller's been taken out this year, or the JLT, or the Turners, or the Juicing, or whatever the hell it was called before it was removed, because that's been taken out this year, Willie Mullins is probably going to carpet bomb the Irish Arkle. And we've seen him do that before, and there's going to be value. There's going to be a lot of value in that Irish Arkle. And Atlantique, I would almost, if Ballyburn ends up at the Dublin Racing Festival, Atlantique is not going to have the services of Paul Townend. And you might get a very good, you might even have to wait till Cheltenham. You'll get a 2-mile one around Leopardstown and maybe Danny Mullins on him, and that's maybe where you make your money. Because this horse will, I think an Irish Arkle could be right up his street, especially before Cheltenham. So that's where I kind of hope he goes next, or maybe that's one of the targets this season.
Yeah, good. I'd like to hear that we're sort of sharing that same opinion as well. That he's certainly quick enough as well to drop to 2 miles. Scotty, similar thoughts there? I know we've all discussed this as well previously.
Yeah, I was kind of straight in the anti-post markets after the race to see what he was priced for the Arkle and the Browns, and it was just like we said, the 2.5 mile chase would have been perfect for him, I think, this year. But what Declan said was the point I was going to make. It was just after he jumped the last, I kind of expected Waterford Whispers to kind of be alongside him, but it was just that kind of acceleration that he showed. That was just really impressive. And I think last year when he ran in the Lawlers against the likes of Reed and Tommy Wrong, he just didn't seem to want to have a bit of a battle, But I think he seems to have matured a lot over the summer, filled out a bit as a horse. He seems to be a big, imposing type. But for me, I just got this feeling, like Jamie said, the old Powers Gold Cup is at Fairyhouse. The 2.5 mile race could be his maybe long-term target this season. It's all guessing games with Willie. We can never guess what Willie does, but I wouldn't be massively keen on him for an Arkle, to be honest. I think he'd run well in an Arkle, but I just don't think he's got the out-and-out 2 mile pace. If I'm being 100% honest, I see him more as a 2.5 horse, progressive in time to 3 miles. That's just my view on him. But yeah, I think the form will work out well from that race on the weekend. And Waterford Whispers is definitely one to take out. Goodland, obviously, his first run for some time. He drifted massively, Goodland. I think he opened up at 11-4 and he drifted to 9-1, I think I've seen. So, but he still ran a good race. But yeah, for me, Il Atlantique, I'd like to see him over 2.5, probably long term this season. That'd be my kind of look on him.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, great to see Goodland come out as well, run a decent race there, and he's come out of his race bouncing as well. He's in really good form, so that's always first and most important thing. Now we move on to John Bonner, who of course won the Tingle Creek. Now at the beginning of the season, I was pretty much under the impression that good to soft or better ground, the champion chase goes to John Bon. Anything softer, I was on the side of basically Gaelic Warrior. Now I'm going to go to Deck first here, and I know you love your Captain Guinness, but for start, what did you think of John Bon, Deck, and where would you put his chances for the champion chase at the moment?
Oh, look, he deserves to be at the top of the market, I'd say. I love John Bon. I think he's so clever. He has everything. He's good looking. He can jump. He's pace. We're very lucky with him being in the yard that he's in, that he's owned by the man who owns him, because we get to see him, and we get to see him at every opportunity.
Yeah,
and he does the stuff all the time. Look, there's possibly, maybe he's not in love with Cheltenham, but we've seen other horses who haven't been in love with Cheltenham go and do the business,
sure.
There at the festival. Hurricane Fly and Cotto Star are the two for me. I think they hated Cheltenham, and the two of them won, 2 champion hurdles and 2 Gold Cups. So look, he's gonna go there with a right chance. He's the one you want to be afraid of. I just think that, I'm gonna bring up Captain Guinness again, but the trip there at Cheltenham, he was lucky gentleman to me. He was chasing him home last year because he didn't get the trip either.
Sure.
But look, I keep saying to back Captain Guinness, but John Mon I'd love to see him win it. I thought he's just so clever. He's a joy to watch. He's a proper racehorse, and he's the type of horse we need to enjoy before he gets so clever. He jacks the game in himself. So yeah, he's a pleasure. Like,
it feels a bit of like now or never, doesn't it? As well for the champion chase. He's obviously 9-year-old or 8 going on 9, is he, or is he 9 going on 10?
9 going on 10. Yeah, he'd be 10. No, he'll be 9 in January.
No,
Yeah.
he won't be. Not yet. 9 there.
Yeah,
like he is. He's probably not celebrated as much as his brother, and he is 10 times the horse his brother was, because Duvan was all potential, but John Bon is delivering. How many grade ones has he won? Is it 8 or 9?
Yeah.
He's delivering on it. Maybe Duvan had more potential, but it means nothing, because
of course
you have to deliver, you have to fulfill it, and this horse is fulfilling it, and we're getting to see him run at every opportunity. It's like he is the people's horse in Britain. All the hype about Constitution Hill, it's John Bon who is the people's horse, and he is the shining light in British racing at the moment, because it's certainly not in the place it was 30 years ago. So he's a superstar.
Yeah, like you say, turns up all season long as well. He's nearly got £1 million in prize money. Good for the pedigree side of things too. Jamie, John Bon, impressed?
I was impressed, Joe. Yeah, he's impressed me. He's getting better and better, isn't he? But I totally agree with Declan. Said he just took the words out of him. It's like Cotto, Star, and like Stateman is not in love with Cheltenham really as well. Like he's like that. He wins the slur every year. John Bon. I just still think Gaelic Warrior is just better than him, Joe. But the only thing I will say, and this is now coming back for Captain Guinness fans, right, is that John Bon and Gaelic Warrior, you wouldn't have the mortgage on him. I put it that way, Joe, because you don't know what way they're going to get out of the bed. And that's what's put me off having a huge bet on either or for thing. But I'm still firmly in the Gaelic Warrior camp, because I think his performance last year in the Arkle, like, John Bon wouldn't beat that. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm still on the basis that Gaelic Warrior needs that real soft ground, and he's going to need cover for most of the way round until the whole turn, isn't he? Where
but I think if they go really quick like they did in that arc last year, I think he'll just sit behind John Bon and just catch him at the end. It's just now that Gaelic Warrior, will it turn up in a champion chase that it turned up last year's arc is a big if. It's a big if, because you just don't know with him. You just don't know.
I think if you were forced to back one of them, we've never seen Gaelic Warrior in open company.
He'd fall in the champion chase. Gaelic Warrior. He'd fall in a champion chase.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You could come down there to the third last or the second last, he'd be tanking, and then he could fall to the second last. That's the type of horse Gaelic Warrior is. But I think if you get prime Gaelic Warrior against a prime John Bon, and Gaelic Warrior would beat him.
Yeah, he might be. And I'm just saying, if you're forced to have a bet now, the safer bet is 100% with John Bon. He's done it in an open company, and like Queen Mothers and Arkles are very, very different. There's nothing like the pace in a Queen Mother, like absolutely nothing. There's no.
I 100% agree with you, Dick, but Arkle winners have great records going from an Arkle straight into a champion chase. You know what I mean? There's good records there down the line. Do you know what I mean? I know what you're saying. John Bon's he has the experience, and he does. And geez, he was up the backside of El Fabiolo, who looked like a star. Then now he's actually gone ahead of him, if you know what I mean. Like El Fabiolo looks like he's going to go up in the trip.
Yeah. My honest opinion is he was outstayed by El Fabiolo, and I do think John Bon's a faster horse than him. And I kind of contradict myself with the trip and all there, but like I just think Arkles are ran differently to Queen Mothers, and it's who has that speed to quicken off that fast pace, and I don't think
that's where I think it benefits John Bon. I don't think Gaelic Warrior, a sprinter, like he got beat for a bit of toe by Ilite Tom. Okay, it was at the end of the long season, but they turned it into a sprint, and he couldn't pick off Ilite Tom, who's effectively possibly better going up in trip now, isn't he? So
But exactly what you were saying, Joe. Like that day, I was there at Punchestown that day, and it was quick ground, and they were
okay,
even
okay,
contemplating taking out Tiupu that day, and they're all giving out that Tiupu can go on the ground now. But you could see Willie Mullins was literally 2 yards away from me, and you could hear him, the ground, the ground, the ground, the ground, the ground. You could hear
sure.
him. You could hear him, the ground. Um,
You can
exactly.
also take Punchestown form with a pinch of salt as well,
That's the other
because
side of it too. Yeah,
you know
100%.
Because of the time of the season, or
it's at the end of the season. It's it's the last week in April, the fourth week in May.
sure.
So like it's kind of like Champions Day at Ascot. Like, the ground has
Yeah.
likely turned from what it's been all season, and it's the end of a season, and campaigns have been ran, and it's one last roll of the dice. Like, it's either Punchestown farm I will always take with a pinch of salt.
Okay, fair enough. Andy, what did you think?
Oh look, he's an all-star, isn't he? Like I think he's phenomenal. Like he's only been beaten by Constitution Hill, El Fabiolo,
Yeah.
and he was
Elixir.
beaten by let's call it. It was beaten by the fourth last fence in the celebrate or in the Clarence House. Like I know it was Elixir. Was Elixir the nuts, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. But like he should have won that easily. And I can see why people might crab his Cheltenham form, which is completely fair enough. He's won 2 slurs, but he's unbeaten everywhere else except for those 3 times at Cheltenham. So I completely get that. Well, one of them was on, I think, the new course. But anyway, look, he's the one that they all have to beat. There's no two ways about it. An Ergamine in the Hilly Way, I thought, he did everything he needed to do. And look, he's a dual champion chase winner. He did miss last year. He still is the one that they have to beat for me. Especially, I think, as horses get older, they can tend to last a bit longer in the 2 mile division. Like we saw Moscow Flyer go until 11 or 12. Special Tiara, unfortunately, I think he broke down a leopard sound one day, but he was well into his veteran stage and still running very, very well, sizing Europe. I could go on, but for me, and going back to Gaelic Warrior, I know he said he wouldn't complete in a champion chase. Maybe that was a bit unfair, but we need to see him in open company sooner rather than later. Like if he goes to a champion chase on the back of one run in open company, I don't care if he's Pegasus. He would want to be the best champion chaser since Masterminded to probably win the race. Or even Sprinter Sacre on his return or whatever. Like he's running out of time to get experience into him.
Yeah.
And I've said this to Deck and I've plenty of times. Like we see Shishkin win the Arkle. He wins a fast run Arkle where they're kind of walking over the line. Gets caught out in the champion chase. Now he might have been wrong that day, which is fair enough. But we seen it with El Fabiolo last year. Couldn't jump at the pace Captain Guinness was going. We see it every time. The Cotto starred, went off favourite for a champion chase, couldn't keep up with Newmill. It's very, very common that if you have a specialist crack 2 miler and if you even make one iota of a mistake, you're on your back, and that's just the way it is in a champion chase. And that's why for me it's probably the best race. Like maybe behind the Gold Cup, I love the champion chase. I think there's nothing like the top 2 milers in action. But look, as going back to John Bon, I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there.
No,
Apologies.
that's fine.
He's an absolute legend. Like Deck said it. Like he dances every dance. Very rarely, does much wrong. I'd love to see him. The fan of me would love to see him win a champion chase. Would my money be on him? Probably not. But I'd love to see him win one.
And like you said, he's such a legend. He seems to get crabbed every time he runs. People want to take him on and say he's not this and he's not that. And like you said as well, like you can go as quick as you want with John Bon. He will get to the other side of that fence. He hasn't hit the deck, I don't think, has he, in his entire career, sort of thing. But
he was fortunate in the Clarence House not to. But
yeah, sure.
He was so clever to stay on his feet that day that he didn't. So.
And just going to Energumene, I know when the Hillyway, we'll touch on that in a minute, but for some reason, I don't mind the age factor with Energumene. He'll go there fresh. He's fairly lightly raced in that sort of sense. I could still see him running a massive race. But before I go on too long, Scotty, what did you think of John Bon?
I thought he was like mighty impressive. But Sandown for me is his cup final course, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's his best performances have come there, like the Celebration Chase, 2 Tingle Creeks. But again, like the lads have said, he's like the people's champion horse. He's like the workhorse. I mean, how many horses from novice hurdle days go up to the likes of Haydock and perform on heavy, shitty ground and win like he did.
Yeah, yeah.
He's won over 2.5. He's won a Melling Chase. He's a very versatile horse. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And even the bookies, like on that Tingle Creek on the weekend, he went off 8-13. He should
Yeah.
have been like a 2-7 shot, really, against what he was racing against. I guess the only question mark in the race was Calexios about how good he potentially could have been. I know he beat Marie Nationale last time. But I'm looking at just at the race potentially for March. If, like it was previously said there, like El Fabiolo outstayed John Bon in the Arkle, I agree with that. I kind of think it's a similar situation. Like Matata is a good yardstick. He's won a nice handicap at Cheltenham. He's not good enough to win a champion chase, but if he's in that race, he's going to go off a real quick pace. And who's that going to suit? Again, it depends on the ground. And Ergumen's obviously going to be up there making the running. But I think they held up on Ergumen when he won one of his champion chases, didn't they? I think it was the first one. So again, tactic wise, it'll be interesting the race in March. But Quilixios at Sandown was second to John Bon 8 lengths, and Quilixios in the Arkle last year was 39.5 lengths behind Gaelic Warrior. So if you're taking it from a literal point of view, just from that, Gaelic Warrior surely has the measure of John Bon if you were back in one, coming down towards the last fence and them neck and neck. My money would be on Gaelic Warrior every day of the week, 100%. He stays 3 miles. He's won a novice hurdle over 3 miles, and John Bon's only probably won that Melling Chase going out a little bit further. I just think Gaelic Warrior, again, depends. He's a 7-2 shot now for the champion chase. He's just an absolute lunatic of a horse, isn't he? But if he turns up on his A game, I think Gaelic Warrior is the champion in waiting. But again, I'd love to see John Bon win. I haven't had a bet in the race yet, but it's definitely wrong to write John Bon off. But yeah, at the moment I'm kind of like on the Gaelic Warrior side, but I'd like to see him run soon. To be honest, it's getting a bit worrying that we haven't seen him just yet.
Yeah, you definitely need the experience, like you said, in this open company, as sort of Andy sort of alluded to there. You wouldn't want to be going there necessarily with one run. Just a quick word from you, Dec, on Energumene. We sort of briefly discussed before. You think he's slightly regressing this season? Fair enough. Obviously, at his age, he's a legend of a horse. Is that?
Maybe it was a little bit harsh with that actual comment and those
Yeah.
words,
Okay.
but I just he got, what did he get, £10, and he was in
Yeah.
a race, and
A
I
lot.
think people are trying to they're trying to hype up the performance, saying he was out for nearly 2 years. He was probably injured. He was probably out for half a season, really.
Okay.
Like, he's probably been back ready to go a good while now, and
Mhm.
he was only going to start at the Hilly Way. Like, he probably could have gone to Punchestown if he was with any other trainer. So I wasn't blown away by the performance, and it wasn't the same horse that beat Captain Guinness in the Queen Mother. Was it 18 months ago?
Sure.
So yeah, look, what is he, 10 now as well?
Yeah. 10 going on 11.
10 going on 11. And I know, yeah, look, but because 2 miles is less taxing on them, they can go for longer. And some of them can keep improving, but I wasn't very taken by the performance, and I think people are they might be clutching their straws a little bit to say it was a great performance after so long out. I don't think he was actually out that long. He was probably missed half a season, and they just took their time with him.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like you said, he's probably sound for the majority of that. That being off the track, he wasn't necessarily good for the entire.
Yeah, I'd say if El Fabiolo didn't exist, he might have been rushed back for the Queen Mother.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't think he was. Now, I could be wrong, but from memory, I don't think it was ever that severe. And we know how much Willie takes his time and how patient he is. So they didn't need to rush him back, save him, keep the miles on the clock, and save him for this season. So with all that, I wasn't really blown away by him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Like you said, Willie would have waited until he was ready to run as well. Like you said, definitely wasn't rushed. So I see that angle. Andy sort of touched on it. Jamie or Scotty, anything to add on Energumene?
But just I'll just say there's a lot of people saying that if Banbridge jumped the last, they think an Energumene would have got beat. I disagree with that. I know he jumped across him, but I think he still had enough to beat him in that race. But that's just my opinion on the finish of the race. And I think there was a load of old kind of dead wood in behind in the race as well. I don't think the form's necessarily that strong. The likes of Blue Lord appreciate it. I mean, what have they really done over fences? Not a hell of a lot. I think Blue Lord won the Clonmel Oil once. I think that's about the best piece in there. Dino Blue, Would she be good enough for a champion chase? Probably not. I think they were going to try and make the running with Dino Blue. I think Willie said after the race, and Ergeman kind of just grabbed the bit and he just went, "See you later. This is my
Cool.
kind of, this is what I want to do." And they couldn't hang on to him, which is obviously a good sign, but just a bit of freshness, and he had the class still to win. But I don't think the form's going to work out massive. And it's just, like I said, a lot of deadwood in behind again still. And Banbridge, I just don't know what his trip is. Everyone says he's 2 miler. People are calling for the King George, for God's sake. I'm like, what is it? 2.5 miles over good ground at Aintree is Banbridge's best kind of chance of winning a Grade One, I think. But without going off into a tangent, that's my take.
Yeah, I actually really like Banbridge for the Gold Cup, and I'll shout out Phil Daniel there. He's been telling me to back him for it for months now, to be fair. Jamie, anything to add on the Nurgamy?
I think if you look back to the race, I think we did put Bambridge off in the last, and I think if Bambridge did jump the last, I think Bambridge would have picked him up. He'd have barely picked him up, but I think he'd have picked him up. Nurgameen's finishing kick will be a little bit of a problem I have with him. I don't think it's there anymore. Like Dex, I don't think it is there anymore. I don't know. You might be totally wrong. Remember, it's his first run for a long time, and the injury wasn't that severe, but he's such a good jumper. Is he just wasting too much energy now with the how good he jumps, really? But I wouldn't be touching him now for a champion chase. No.
Okay, cool, fair enough. There was a lovely performance on Sunday at Cork by a mare called Only by Night for Gavin Cromwell. You can't help but not be impressed by this. Where they go with her next, I'm not sure. Do they go down the mare's chase route? Don't think they have to. Looks plenty quick for 2 miles if they want to stick against the Gowdins. Andy, what did you think? Did you see the race?
Yeah, no, I saw all the race in the weekend, which was a nice change. Yeah, no, she was very impressive. She jumped fence to fence. Like Sean Flanagan was doing everything he could not to get in front that early. And look, she was so impressive. She went away from them as if they were standing still. Look, to me, the mare's program is basically states that every single mare in training needs 2.5 miles because every premier race seems to be over 2.5 miles. Like that's it. Any mare, if you have a good mare, it needs to run over 2.5 miles. But anyway, like the mare's hurdle, mare's chase. Anyway, I digress. This mare looks, she doesn't look like she needs to go up and trip in any way, shape, or form. Sure. Like she's absolutely mullered them here. If they threw her in something like an Irish Arkle or or even the Arkle itself, like, I wouldn't be too comfortable trying to give her £7 if I owned one of the top geldings in the race because, she could give them problems for sure. In terms of the mare's chase, look, if it was over 2 miles, brilliant. But again, like that extra half mile, which she should probably get, it shouldn't be an issue, but you would rather see it over 2 miles. Another thing that hangs in the back of your head is she went to Lingfield last season and just ran no sort of race at all. There's not enough. There's not enough to suggest that she doesn't like traveling, but you have to take that into account. Look, there's a program for her over here anyway. Like we could see her up against the geldings. They could wait until Thurles. There's plenty of mares novice chases for her over here. And then they probably will go to Cheltenham. But what she did on Cork, or what she did on Sunday at Cork, was extremely impressive, and it's hard not to take note of it.
Yeah, I'd love to see her stay against the Gowdins. I don't think we always, like you're saying, that we don't have to send her down the mare's route really. She's been very impressive over 2 miles. What's the point of changing tack effectively? Deck, do you like this performance?
Yeah, really, really impressed by her, and I was watching her in Korea the Blaze really, really closely, and I just thought they were out jumping everything else in the race.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you're going to go with her. Andy, is there the mare's chase at Limerick at Christmas?
There is. I'm not sure if it's a mare's beginners though, or if it's actually a grade 2. I'll have to double check that. Is there a grade 2? Okay, yeah.
The grade 2 is a Thurles on horse, and do you know the horse and jockey chase is the grade 2 adult? That's the weekend after the Lawlers. That's the race for Thurles.
Yeah.
The old Kinloch Bray Day.
Kinloch Bray, yeah. So she could take in all them. I'd be tempted with a mare now to be taking in all those mares races and mopping up black type left, right, and centre and prize money. But yeah, look, she's one to look forward to. Like, was she only running in bumpers a year ago? She running a bumper at Navan in November last year.
In November, Navan, listed bumper, yeah. Yeah.
She's
It
done the
isn't
full
bumper. So
progression, hasn't she? She's kept doing the right stuff. She was with John Joe O'Neill like before she came over to Ireland as well, wasn't she? Now she's really started to progress.
it was. I remember Andy actually saying to me, Gavin doesn't have many bumper horses. He has a lot more now
Yeah.
because he has a better quality of horse. But she was one of the first now to go, oh, Gavin's running one in a bumper.
Yeah. If he had one in a bumper, it was obviously very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So yeah, she's obviously she's very, very nice. And I don't know what it did she run for John Joe?
Yeah, yeah, she did right.
Won a bumper.
Yeah, and
She won
didn't.
a bumper, yeah.
But,
No, look, she's definitely one to look forward to. I don't know what the plan will be with her, but you know, the mayor's race is so tempting. Gavin obviously won it last year, but more a staying type. So I don't know. If she was mine, I'd be tempted to mop up the mayor's races at home and just keep taking the prize money.
Bright Hill, Gavin Cromwell's as well. She's
It
got
is,
Bright
yeah.
Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's
yeah.
got a couple of nice ones. I suppose it gives them options, doesn't it? I quite like these. You don't see too many mares that go chasing that back up good seasons. I know we've had Dino Blue. Limerick Lace is probably going to do quite well as well. But I like these new mares that go chasing on the scene. They just seem to be full of themselves. Jamie?
Really impressive. Exactly what Andy says, and Deck kind of touching it there. Would you be worried about how she was so not keen to race, just wanted to get on? But will she stay the 2.5 miles on the new track for a mare's chase? She's 12 to 1 there. I see their top price in Petty Power. I think they have a better one in Brightside, but Brightside had a little bit of a setback, not major. And sometimes when mares have a little bit of setbacks like that, they don't come back as good. Like Impervious, like a 7 to 1 is ridiculous. No, we know Impervious is a good horse, but hasn't been seen in over a year and barely not going to make it back to the track. But you'd have to see Brideshill first. But 12 to 1, I wouldn't put anyone off. If you think she'll stay, I couldn't put anyone off, but I think she's a better 2 miler.
Yeah, fair enough. Scotty, anything to add, mate?
Yeah, I said to you after the race how impressed I was. She was one of my stronger bets of the weekend, and I think Nara's a nice horse who she beat into second. But again, I think like Andy touched on, I'd worry about many a horse giving her £7, and I think 33s for an Arkle is not the worst kind of anti-post like kind of punt you could get. I think she'd be very competitive in an Arkle. But again, like the lads have said, I think the program's there in Ireland for the mares, isn't it? But yeah, I can't really add more than how impressed I was with her. But again, it's knowing what her limitations are. And it's like you said, Gavin's got Limerick Lace and Bright Hill, who are probably his mare's chase horses again this season. So maybe he might just like take a chance and maybe campaign her towards an Arkle. Gavin Cromwell's a very sporting man. I think he's not afraid to kind of throw his hat into these big races now, and he's starting to get a bit of the ammunition. So why not? I mean, 33s for an Arkle. What price would she go off if she won the next one or two races? She'd probably be half that price, wouldn't she? So yeah,
I,
again.
isn't there a couple of races at Huntington and places like that where
Yeah,
Gavin said mares
Benny
last year?
Benny Didio came over. I think it was Carlisle. There was like a mare's chase. I think
That's early on. I think that's early on in the season. That's November. But I think Bright Hill might have gone to Huntington,
She
or
did.
was there
She
another
did.
mare?
yeah,
She
she
hosed
did.
up as
Yeah,
well. She hosed up that day.
Yeah. So like Gavin's no problem targeting those and picking up the prize money. But he did go and win the mares with Limerick Lace. So I don't know what he's thinking, but
do you think Limerick Lace kind of had a bit of a tough race at Haydock, and he's potentially thinking about the national? We might skip Cheltenham this
Yes.
year and maybe look at this horse for that mare's race. It's a tough one to know still, isn't it? But
He might even buy only by night, yeah. He might even buy this mare. You never know. He's got bags of riches, hasn't he? Right, okay, cool. Let's have a just an open to the rest of the weekend. Any other performances take your fancy? Any standouts? We had Dancing City, Jasmine DeVoe. I'll just leave this open to the floor, really.
I don't. I'll be bold. I'll say Jasmine DeVoe won't win a graded race over hurdles.
Is that just
I
because
know.
of her jumping, Andy? Like,
Oh, absolutely. Like he was lucky that the Jigginstown horse kind of blew up. I think I wasn't. I don't think that was the strongest maiden in the world either. Um, I think he's third or fourth in the betting for the Supreme Novices. If he even went anywhere near that race, I would. It'd be great because he might set the market. But like they're probably going to run him in the Slaney, and he won't win that. Um, yeah, I was far more impressed with the 4-year-olds on the card. Like, I thought Gaurav Matt will go for Colin Murphy. Like that's a horse he should be like earmarking for the Supreme or possibly the Gallagher's or turners, whatever they're calling it now these days. That was like that horse was so energetic. They tried to put the sheet over him in the ring, the winner sheet, and he just would not have it. He was full of beans, and he jig jogged back out. And the way Simon Torrance came to win that race, you know, there was bridle everywhere, is what we could say to Deck. He was doing his best not to get in front of that before the last. And he just was hands and heels out to the line. The horse put his neck down, went through the line really strongly. Like that was probably maybe outside of the Butch Cassidy and Samanzarak race. That's probably the best maiden hurdle I've seen, like the best maiden hurdle performance I've seen over this side of the RC. It was extremely impressive.
How do you say how do you say the name of this one again, Andy? Because it's a long old
Gaurav Mahago. Yeah.
Take some writing down, that.
Yeah, and then very, very quickly, I did say to Deck as well, Cade Dahi, I think, who was trees on to, like, he was travelling beautifully. He was going to win that maiden hurdle by about a furlong.
He's another tank of a horse as well, isn't he?
He's a gorgeous horse. He's going to go to the 4-year-old maiden on Stevens' Day or Boxing Day at Leopardstown. He's going to win easily. He's going to go 6-7 to 1 for the Supreme Novices. If you were inclined to play that way, he was really he was a beautiful looking horse, and probably just a little unfortunate because he didn't necessarily fall. He just took like a false step. It was strange. Assuming that horse is okay, he'll be a force in the novice hurdle division as well. So I think we saw some really nice horses at Navan this weekend.
Did anyone see Kit Zubel win a Kit's Buhel at Punchestown, beating Colonel Mustard? New 4-year-old beating Colonel Mustard, 146 rated horse, and put it into bed quite easily. That to me looked like a pretty taker performance on his debut for Close Sutton.
What's the story there, Joe? He's had 4 runs now, but the 2 were in 2023. Does that mean he's qualified now for the county? He's not. He needs 2 more runs, is it?
Yeah, he's not. He's not a novice. He'll still need the runs for the county if so. And he's probably going to get a mark around 150 now for that, isn't he?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. No, Andy took the words out of my mouth there. That Kate Doherty looks a right tool. It does, and it was just unlucky. Took a false step. And like Andy said, that 4-year-old maiden hurdle on Stephen's Day at Leopardstown, he's a shoo-in for that. Getting back to Jasmine DeVoe, I'm like Andy, no, he just doesn't jump well enough. And I think he'll end up in an Albert Bartlett because he just does not jump well enough.
Agreed.
He has an engine. There's no doubt there's an engine in there somewhere. But no, I wouldn't touch him for Cheltenham at all. No, I wasn't. That bumper's only looking okay now, really. It looked good, I thought, afterwards. But look, Romeo Cooley, Jalan has had a setback, Jalan Zudere, and Romeo Cooley needs to go up and trip now. So, look, we'll see, but I wouldn't be having to Jasmine DeVoe for Cheltenham at all, no.
The thing with Jasmine DeVoe is if you go down the Supreme, you can't make one mistake and get away with it in the Supreme. You're just gone, aren't you? So straight
he's
away.
He's a Turner's and Albert Bartlett.
Yeah, I'd see the same. Anyone, what do you think of Dancing City, Deck?
Scotty?
Either?
Can I quickly jump in and give you 2 eye catches? Henri II, I thought, was impressive at Sandown in that handicap hurdle, up to 3 miles for the first time. He was a very nice bumper horse. Hated chasing last year, didn't he? Absolutely hated it. I think he had 1 run and then he just kind of put him away. And I think he mentioned after the race, Nichols, that he could maybe give him a tilt at something like the Cleve hurdle. I think the UK kind of staying hurdlers are not the best bunch. I'd be tempted to have a little go on him if he turned up at Cheltenham for that race. He'd never win a stayers hurdle, but that could be something in the pipeline. But for me, the biggest eye catcher was in the Dancing City race yesterday, and I'm all over Dancing City for the Browns, but he potentially could have had a race yesterday. I think Olympic Man, who literally threw Mullins out of the saddle, he was, I think he was about 10 feet in the air, and he somehow managed to keep the race going, and I think he only finished 5.5 lengths off Dancing City in the end. He was a massive eye catcher for me. So yeah, Olympic Man would be one I'd definitely be keeping an eye on as well.
I know they were quite sweet on him last year as well, and it didn't quite pan out for him. But sometimes it just takes them that season to find themselves, doesn't it? And,
you look at the horses. I mean, like Mossy Fen Park, who finished third in that race, ran pretty well against Firefox the first day up at Down Royal. Shannon Royale was no mark over hurdles. You think he beat Tully Hill once, if I remember that right. So again, the form of that race could work out pretty strong in the long run, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. What I really quickly, Joe, so I know we're probably going over time, with Dancing City, the one thing, and it's something that we'd say often on tap, I don't like seeing horses that start at over 3 miles, because one of my biggest rules in racing is speed kills those that don't have it. Okay. And I'd always favor the horses that can win at shorter trips. And I know Dancing City did. Like I backed them all of last year, backed them at the Dublin Racing Festival,
Yeah,
Aintree, Cheltenham, etc. But when they start at 3 miles like that, I will always look for a horse that's won at 2 miles or 3 miles, and that has. I'd always favour a horse. I'd always chance a horse that has a chance of getting 3 miles than a horse that starts at 3 miles and just goes that stays at that trip the whole time. Now, and again, I know I said it earlier. Maybe Willie Mullins is just trying to get his horses out, but it's
sure.
just something to note that when they start at that trip, they're not going to get faster. So just
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
an eye on the horses that are at least able to win over 2.5 miles to start off with.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think you're dead right there, Andy, because I think he was probably if it was not a handicap, I think he was their national hunt chase horse.
Oh,
He,
without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, and I think always Willie Mullins. This is going back. Look, I'm not really a stats trends man, but that 2.5 mile beginner's chase at Leopardstown on the 28 or something like that. He
Yeah.
always seems to put his Browns horse in that.
Yeah,
Now
yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping.
Alaho, Galopin de Champ.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
hoping
yeah.
Key to Bourbon is
Either
that one.
Bourbon, you're waiting, you're
Yeah,
waiting.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a lovely
But
horse.
I
Yeah.
always feel that Willie Mullins puts his best one there, and that's why the Browns for me is not doesn't happen. Doesn't I don't even really look at it, to be honest, Joe. I take a chance on it, but I don't really look at it till that race happens, because then you kind of know where Willie's thinking which one it is. Because I always feel that race is I always think it's the best beginner's chase. You obviously a special performance in it, so I'm just waiting for that, and then I'd have an opinion on the race properly.
Didn't he win it with Don Poli as well a few years ago, the same race? Won the
Yeah,
RSA, didn't he?
Gallopin has won it and all that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I know he's got an entry at Nace on Monday, Key de Bourbon, but so have about
Mm.
10 of his others. Like, so who's going to line
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know, like. But
It's an
yeah,
embarrassment to riches. Like
it
it's
is,
Yeah.
it is, it
insane.
is.
Yeah.
It's actually making
Yeah.
anti-post punting a lot more difficult now, I find as well, when
Mm.
you've got so many at 1 yard. And
Mhm.
I like your point there, Andy. It's like you said, it can almost take a little bit too much out of them at the same time if they're running over 3 miles the entire way. At least if you're stepping them up slightly, I'd say from 2 mile 4 to the 3 miles come the festival, they're sort of leaving a little bit within themselves, perhaps. But anyway, right, we'll leave that as the weekend review there. Like you said, we're taking a little bit of time. I don't want to keep the boys for too long, but we are going to go on to Cheltenham now this weekend. Of course, we've got the December Gold Cup meeting. 3 races on Friday, 3 races on Saturday. And again, we'll try not to waste too much time on that. But we start off on Friday. We've got the British EBF novices hurdle over 2 miles, 1 furlong. We do have the decks for Friday's racing, and we've got good to soft ground. Now we start off with a 4 runner race, but it's pretty good. We've got That's Nice at 11-10, Wingmen at 3-1. Country Mile has got plenty of speed at 7-2, then Palazzo at 16-1. Interesting runner here, I guess, for Henderson and JP. The mayor out of Bloody Mary. That's nice. Scotty, let's start with you. What did you think? She won quite nicely at Warwick whilst looking quite green. Probably going to come on plenty for it, but she's going to have to jump well at Cheltenham, isn't she?
Yeah, when she beat Honky Tonk Highway, she didn't win by that far, but it was just the manner that she did it, and I think she was pretty impressive. But she's, I know it's easy to compare horses when they're in the same colours, but she's a bit like Epatante when she ran as like a novice hurdler. She was very kind of like fresh, didn't win
Yeah.
by far, kind of like had to take a bit of time. She had her education and developed into a nice horse. So maybe the long term for that's nice, but she could well win the race pretty easily, but potentially, like you said, Country Miles got bags of pace, but Wingmen for me jumped so right the last day. I don't think going this way around is going to suit them at all. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to just say that That's Nice is going to win the race, and Country Mile I think will finish second. And I do think Wingmen. I probably got them mixed up. I keep saying the Yellow Clay and Wingmen. I had the Martin Piper and the Albert Bartlett earmarked. I think the Yellow Clay is going to go the Bartlett and Wingmen. I know like I said, he jumps right, but he could end up being their pipe horse this year, I think.
Yeah, he'll get better with the experienced Wingmen as well. I think he probably
Yeah,
need a little bit of a trip too.
yeah.
Like you said, Honky Tonk Highway's actually won since as well, so the form's been franked to a degree as well. Jamie, have you had a look at the opener?
Yeah, I'd be brief, Joe. The form was obviously franked by Hong Kong Highway the weekend. She jumped a bit high, I thought, in Warwick, but I think she just get better with experience.
Mhm.
Wingman, I like Wingman as a horse, but he just jumped markedly right, and he won't get away with it on Saturday. I think what I'll do is an opening double, and sorry, now we're going straight on to the second one. I'm going above it, but I'm just going to double her with Caldwell Potter. An opening muggy double, and I think they'll just both win. I can't see Wingman giving her £7 anyway. I think she's really good. Would I back her for Mayor's Novice Hurl? No, no. She needs to brush up her jumping. Her jumping is good, but she looks like more of a chaser. But she'll win. She'll win. And on the next race, Caldwell Potter will win as well.
Yeah, no, it was a 3-1 double pretty much from Jamie straight
Yeah.
out of the gate. She jumped, like I said, she came from the point-to-point scene as well, so she definitely does seem to jump a little bit high. She's probably just respecting her hurdles perhaps a
Yeah,
little bit too much.
100%.
Deck?
Yeah, look, our point-to-point form was not really much. It wasn't much to write home about, but the runner-up from our hurdle win has followed up. She is only a 4-year-old, whereas Wingman is a 6-year-old. Beat 40 Coates. I'm not really impressed with 40 Coates being Andy touched on him on top when we were asked about his bumper win at Nice. And look, Florida Park might have made the form look a little bit better. He was third in a bumper behind William Money in Florida Park, but look, I don't think anyone wants to listen to me talk about four-runner novice hurdles in Britain, do they?
Say no more. Say no more. Andy?
The powers that be must have been getting overwhelmed here. A novice race with more than 3 runners is a bit of a rarity over your side of the shore. But anyway, yeah. But look, I suppose that's what happens when you get an Irish entry. So Wingman, yeah, I'd agree with Deck. Like he's beaten. He's beaten. He's beaten 40 Coates. 40 Coates was beaten at Punchestown this week. I know he might have bumped into a nice horse, but he was still beat. I think he was beaten by James's Gay, who I think was placed in the champion bumper once upon a time. A very hard horse to train, but clearly quite talented. But look, I wouldn't be trusting Wingman. I'd say Gordon's sending his horse over as a sire, more so than anything. I know what you said about everyone's kind of covered That's Nice pretty well. Obviously, Honky Tonk Highway went and won at Sandown the weekend. Country Mile 131 rated novice was beaten by Road Less Travelled, who that was in a grade 2 though, I think so. And that's solid enough form. Probably sets the standard, but you'd be disappointed if that standard wasn't eclipsed here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take it. I was hemming and hawing about this all day, but I'm going to take a chance on the complete rag of the field because it's a stupid price. Palacio, he went and won. Well, he's probably his own worst enemy to start with. Like he was way too keen on bumpers. Exeter and Warwick, like he was nearly uncontrollable. Like Sam Tristan Davis had a nightmare with him. Hurdles calmed him down a little bit, but he was still extremely keen. But he was still too good to beat a subsequent winner at Chepstow on his hurdling debut. The only reason I would back him here at 14-1, it's not because I think he's the best horse in the race, but when you have 4 runner races and you have a keen going sort like this, I wouldn't be surprised if this horse built up an 8, 9, 10 length lead, and then suddenly he's coming down the hill, and everyone in behind is going, "Oh shit!" And this horse is talented enough. This horse is talented enough to get home, and at 14-1, I wouldn't mind just having a few quid. I wouldn't be going like max stake, far from it. I have that maybe little half stake, just him to basically steal this from the front, because wouldn't surprise me in the least if he was able to do that, because he's talented enough to do it. I'm not saying he's the best horse in the race, but if you give any horse too much rope, they won't come back. So I'll take a little chance on Palacio.
Yeah, and he did it last time, didn't he? He went off in front sort of thing, and he proved hard to catch that day. Big fan of Dylan Johnston as well. He's some jockey who's turning into.
Yeah, he's very good, yeah.
His £3 claim's worth its weight in gold at the minute, So, okay, so pretty much across the board for That's Nice, but a half stake selection for Andy on Palazzo. We'll go straight on to the 12:40, the novices chase over 2 mile 4. Pretty decent race at the moment. We've got Coldwell Potter at 10-11, Django Bay at 11-4, Springwell Bay at 6s, Deafening Silence at 15-2, and 150-1 for the rank outsider. Deck, I'm going to come to you first for this time. Obviously, Coldwell Potter's got that Irish form, and he was interesting enough on debut. Is he the likeliest winner here?
Yeah, I think he is. And, look, I've never really been impressed by him. He was good on Chase debut, but like he was entitled to look good in his Chase debut as long as he could jump. I was like, when he won his grade 1 at Leopardstown last year on the 27th, it was absolutely bottomless. It was the only time I've seen Leopardstown, borderline unraceable, and you'd have the field strung out. I think down memory, who was Predator's Goal was second, down memory lane was, 40 or 50 lengths into third. It was just a race where you can put a line through it. So I remember when he went for so much money, I was thinking he's already won his grade 1. I was thinking he's never going to win one again. He's not one that was high on my list. And look, I don't really fancy anything in the race again. Sound a little bit negative the last two races, but Django Bay, like he won well after Farthing Glory fell at Aintree in the Talwart. It is the Talwart, isn't it now? At
Yeah,
Aintree
you got it. Well, it's
on
Chase.
Stephen's Day. He did disappoint the next twice, but then he was second in Aintree in the handicap. He's only a 5-year-old. There could be much more improvement than him. And look, if you were forced me to have a bet, I'd probably take the chance that he might turn Caldwell Potter over because I'm not the biggest fan of Caldwell Potter. He's won his grade one, but like he just put a line through that race. It was absolutely bottomless that day.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of him myself as well. I know he won at Carlisle, but like you said, he was entitled to go and win that and win it well. I wasn't actually that impressed with his jumping. A lot of people said he jumped really well. I thought he was very novice-y in the sense that he was giving them a lot of air, then he was too low at one. Not too sure what to make of him myself. I actually quite like Springwell Bay if they go quick enough here. I'd actually possibly look at him in play. I think the quicker they go for him, the better. Jamie?
Oh yeah, I was impressed with Colin Potter. He obviously needs to go left-handed. He jumped markedly to the left in Carlisle. I just
Maybe that's
exactly.
maybe that's the problem that I saw then
Yeah.
without
I think
consciously knowing as such, you know?
it's just better than all of them, Joe, and on to better things. I think it'll just win and it'll win easy.
Simple as that. All right.
Simple as that.
Scotty.
Yeah, Caldwell Potter's got the X factor, isn't he? But again, I just worry whether he's kind of like a bit of a hype horse. He's obviously unexposed still, isn't he? We just don't know how good he is. And like Dex said, he was entitled to win like he did at Carlisle. But I just wonder whether Django Bay's the one. You can't. I couldn't back a novice on his first run, especially at Cheltenham against proven horses. Caldwell Potter's obviously won first time out, and Springwell Bay won at Chepstow. Okay, he was finished third, I think, to Highlander at Cheltenham the next day. But if there was one that I'd be tempted to look at, would be Django Bay. Obviously, a Grade One winner over hurdles as well. So, but nah, Caldwell Potter, I think 10 to 11. I wouldn't be touching him at that price, especially at Cheltenham. I think he'd be better going left. But if I really had to have the gun to my head, I'd probably just chance Django Bay. If he jumps well, I think you could potentially give Caldwell Potter a race here. But it's just not a massive race for a betting perspective for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. It's hard to weigh up his form at the minute. I know he's beat Predators Gold and things like that, but different ball game going left-handed chasing around Cheltenham for the first time. Andy?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he goes on the quicker ground, Caldwell Potter. Like he's clearly very at home on soft ground, and Paul Nichols even said as such. So, it's nice to see him, back after a 12-day layoff. Obviously they just want to get the experience into him. I wouldn't be backing him at 8 to 11. Like the number one horse I earmarked over in the UK to see this season was Django Bay. Like I was really excited to see how he get on over fences. My kind of opinion hasn't really changed on that. Like somehow, despite being rated 146, he looked like one of the best novice hurdlers in the UK. Like Willie Mullins probably wouldn't know who he was if he was in his yard, given that the way the form went last year. But that's the way I suppose it is. Look, he's only a 5-year-old as well as what Beck said as well. Like I love the younger they are, the better. Going chasing. So I'd be
Perfect.
very, yeah, I'd be very excited to see how he gets on. And do I want to back him on Chase debut at Cheltenham? Probably not, but he'd be enough to stop me from backing Caldwell Potter at odds on.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'm quite sweet on Springwell Bay here. Just that experience edge. I think he actually ran a really nice race last time when he was behind Highland. It turned into a trappy heat, but again, I think the quicker they go, which isn't actually guaranteed here, but if they go fast, I think Springwell Bay will be hard to beat myself. Okay, let's take a look at the cross country. I definitely haven't got a strong opinion in here. 3 mile, 5.5 furlongs. It's actually soft ground on the cross country course. Isio Madrick. We've got Stumptown at 9 to 2. Late Night Pass at sevens. Mr. Coffee, the unwinnable horse at 7 to 1. Cocoa Beach and Delta Work at 11 to 1. And then 12 to 1 bar those. Jamie?
I must have looked at this race now, Joe, I say for an hour, and I still can't come down on one, to be honest with you. There's so much unknown in this. Who's holding their mark for Cheltenham because it's a handicap in March. Like Issa Medrick won a listed race around Compagnie. He's only has a French jockey on, and he's a £3 claimer. Stumptown won the last day of Punchestown over 3 miles. He was very unlucky last year in the Touche Cup at Punchestown over 4 miles won. I think Stumptown's day will be in March. And I'm a late night pass one is obviously last year off of a mark of 140, he's up £4. But the one I fancy here, Joe, is at 16 to 1. Is
Oh,
a horse for Dennis Murphy and Sam Twiston Davis on his 3x2.
Interesting. Yeah.
Was 2 lengths behind Stumptown last day in receive £8. Now he was receiving £16 from Stumptown. I think he's overpriced. Look, I don't think he's been around the track, but sometimes in these races you just have to take the chance because they've been around the banks of Punchestown. Because of the form of Stumptown, and I hope Stumptown is, I suppose, keeping his powder dry till March, I will put up 3x2 here. Yeah, 16-20 each way for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's a £2 swing, is it? That's
Yeah.
massive thing.
Yeah.
You're getting the price to find out as well, so why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
100%.
Deck, any fancy in the cross country?
Yeah, I agree with Jamie. I just thought 3x2 was too big a price after the last run. Look, Stumptown has taken to the banks quite well, and he's a much classier horse than 3x2. You know, he's been really, really good apart from when he unseated. I think it was on his banks debut, but a loose horse ran into him and he unseated. But like Jamie's covered it there with the swing and the weights, like, and only 2 lengths to find. He's just way too big a price, 3x2. Like, you'll have to have an each way bet on him. For Keir Duderee,
What's happening here then? What's happening here?
I'm not going to steal Andy's thunder too much, but I think they've been running the mark down. Andy's been convinced it's been the banks. I thought maybe there was a big handicap in him, but I'll leave a bit for Andy. Like, you look at you, like the French rider up the top. I'm not going to pretend I know too much about the French form, but he's in there on favourite. The French rider won the race the last day in November. Mr. Coffey's in here, he's still a novice. I don't know what they're going to do with him. He think he's running 3 Grand Nationals or something. He's still a novice. I thought he rules about that race. But no, look, I'd be happy to take a chance on, you know, an each way chance on 3x2. And Jamie covered it quite well. And he's going to tell us now what he's been telling me for the last 2 years about for Keir Duderee.
All right, well, that's mad. 2 for 3x2, 20-1 as well. You can still get, not even 16s, even bigger. There's a nice dark horse for you. Go on then, Andy. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I've been barking at Keir Duderee to go over the banks for, as what Dex said, probably about 2 years now. He's very nimble. He's very, very quick from A to B. You know, juvenile hurdlers or horses that come from France, they tend to act in the cross country department. Like, you, obviously, you know, Gordon's had a flurry of them down the years, and you know, you don't have to go too far back. Look, I do think this horse is going to take to it. Like, the only thing you would have a query about was the 3 mile 6, but they kind of hack around, don't they? Really, they're not galloping. Like, yeah, exactly. So I think he's going to really, really enjoy this. And look, there's absolutely no way this is his first time seeing the banks. I say this lad's been having days out now for the last year or so. Hence why we only seen him twice last year. I would imagine that he's going to, you know, it's only going to be a hack around. I wouldn't imagine he's going to be getting trouble in the judge on Friday. But look, if you're looking for a horse come the festival, I think you're going to see a much different horse. I had a very strong look at 3x2 as well. Funny enough, she's the one I did come down on too. She's a talented mare. She's obviously very similar to Singing Banjo. She's chased him around Punchestown a few times. Chased Stumptown around Punchestown obviously as well. Look, there is a big difference between Punchestown and Cheltenham's Banks courses. Yeah. I will say that. Like, it's not the same. Just because a horse handles Punchestown does not mean they're going to handle Cheltenham. They're very, very different. The Punchestown track is definitely more difficult. The Cheltenham track tends to be a little bit easier. But it's hard to ignore her, even though she's a 95 rated mare that's going here off 133. The handicap mark doesn't really matter though in this context. Even though she's rated 133, she's significantly better off at the weights with Stumptown. What I would say though about Stumptown is he is only a 7-year-old and, you know, is taken to this discipline like a duck to water. Like, you could make an argument he'd be unbeaten in this discipline if it wasn't for him, as what Dex said, getting rugby tackled, you know, completely no fault of his own. On his Banks debut, like, he's clearly taken to it really well. He likes Cheltenham on a normal day. I'm sure the Banks course won't be any problem to him. And because he's only 7 and because he's kind of thriving at the minute, I wouldn't imagine they're going to be, you know, holding him back. Like, he's going to be there to win. Like, he won last time out. There's no way the English handicapper is going to drop him for running down the field. Like, there's just zero chance of that happening. So I'd imagine he's going to be quite competitive, and I'd say himself and the mare 3x2 will be fighting it out at the finish.
Love that. Scotty, is it just back 3x2 as well, is it?
Yeah, I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I did think 3x2 had a good chance in this race, but Jamie said it. I think Stumptown's the one for the long run for like going into, again, Andy said the 7-year-olds, progressive kind of aged kind of horse, kind of like thrown. Younger horses get thrown in here now, don't they, to kind of peak towards the cross country in March. But I'm not going to have a bet in the race, but I've said it earlier in the season. He had an entry and he didn't run, but you go back to the Risk of Thunder and he was held up and he stayed on into a finishing sixth. He was literally glued to the ground, and that's Vanilla for Gavin Cromwell. He's got massive form at Cheltenham, finishing second in a National Hunt Chase. So he was, or second or third he was. He was second in a national. He's going to be here getting an education over these banks. I'm telling you now, 25-1 come March for this horse is going to be an absolute gift. He's going to be campaigned to the absolute minute for March for this race, I think. I think it's almost so obvious. It's becoming like kind of not obvious. People are not taking any notice of Vanilla at all. Um, so yeah, I'll be looking at him in the long run. But yeah, I'm not going to have a bet in the race, but I'm with the lads. I think 3x2 is an interesting one. Sam Twiston Davies rides the course well. And I'm going to give a massive shout at a huge price, and I'm going to get absolutely shot off the course here, and that's the Goffer. Again, another 7-year-old. Gone off almost favourite for an Ultima, I think, one time. I'd just be interested to see how he goes over the banks. And I think 66-1, you get shocks in these kind of races. I wouldn't be surprised if he nicked a place, and if I was going to have like a half point kind of stake each way or whatever in a race, and maybe just chance him at a big price.
Oh, he's a bit of a dog, though, isn't he, the Goffer? He gets these opportunities too
He is,
often.
but how many dogs win these kind of races? And Fakir Duderies, I mean, we're talking about Fakir Duderies, who's like 9, 10. He doesn't want to race anymore. He's just gone at the game, I think. And he wouldn't stay this trip in a horse box. He's got no chance of staying. I know they go a crawl. I just no chance whatsoever for me. Sorry.
I actually don't think Fakir Dudari is gone. I think they've been stopping him.
Yeah, he's no way he's gone.
No, he's not gone. I think they've been stopping him, and he was a proper grade 2
I
horse.
hope you're right, lads, with that statement.
Nah, he's a proper grade 2 horse. He was good enough to win some British grade 1s with a grade 3 performance, but he's hard to place now at the moment. So I think they've been stopping him, and maybe it is the banks. Maybe, this could be another, maybe just an education for them. I still think there could be a big handicap in him.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I was quite quick to say he didn't look like he was enjoying his racing anymore. But like you said, if the plot is on as such, like, then fair enough. But
It's hard to enjoy a racing, Joe, now when the jockey's pulling the head off you as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
you haven't been let out of your box for the last 2 weeks.
Of course. Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
That morning,
Yeah, sure. That's the thing.
We don't do that at all in Ireland, Declan.
No, we don't
come
feed
on.
them at all.
No, we don't do
You're
that.
worse for it. You're worse for it. Right, the moral of the story in the cross country then is back 3x2, 20-1 at the time of recording. We'll see how long that lasts. Right, we move on to Saturday. We've got no declarations for Saturday. You start off with the Triumph Hurdle. This is just really hard to figure out at the moment because we've got 3 for the Gredley family. We've got Harry Cobden jocked up on Ambient Amigo and Liam Swagger. Then we've got Sam Twiston Davis jocked up on Lavender Hill Mob, which suggests he's definitely going to run. Then Harry Cobden's going to have the pick of the others. And then just to make it more confusing, we've got a horse in here called Melon, who's we've seen obviously at Cheltenham previously.
That would be some training performance now.
His age, that's for sure. Interesting runner there called Terra Firma, but look, I'm struggling to find a view here without the declarations at the moment. Does anyone have a strong opinion?
See that horse Terra Firma? Me and Andy covered a couple of his races earlier on in the season, and we actually do put a bit of time into the juveniles and find them. I used to hate juveniles. I used to think they were flat rats, but since we started tap, they're some of the most interesting horses to follow through the season, and it's strange to see. He's owned by Bronson. I don't know. I think they could be billionaires. Like, they own Nürburgring, they own Solness, paid over $1 million for Give Me the Beat Boys, and he's moved from Joseph to who's training?
Jack Jones.
He's trying by a shop now.
Entra, is it?
Yeah,
A clothes shop.
It almost
Uh,
looks similar to the race with Bird at Road and that Brother Fassa, doesn't it, as well? You know, it might have the same colours in the right order.
Look, he's won 2 hurdles before he was second to Zainab at the stall. You yourself and Jamie were probably there that day, Joe, and we haven't seen Zainab since, I don't think. But that could be some of the more interesting form when we look towards the Fred Winter at the end of the season. Liam Swagger probably sets the standard here, having just held static the last day. But I think Terra Firma could be a nice horse. There's a bit of winning in the 2 hurdles in Ireland. Even if they were during the summer or late summer, they take a bit of winning. They take an awful lot more winning than some of those races at Uttoxeter or Plumpton or wherever else. They're usually big fields and they're competitive. So, I think they might have pulled well clear that day as well, himself and Zainab. So, I think he's a nice horse, and it's hard to know what the plan is now, but now that Terra Firma's training in Britain, might have to win another one to get into the Fred Winter, whereas still training in Ireland might need to come down the weights.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like I said, Zainab looks like a pretty decent horse as well. Related to Zana here in some shape or form as well.
Yeah, yeah. Is it a full sister to say?
Is
Yeah.
he? Full sister, there you go. Yeah. So, yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, I think people are going to be drawn to the Gredley horses. They seem to just be becoming attached to those as well. So you might even get a little bit of a price when they come available for Terra Firma when the decks come out effectively tomorrow. Andy, have you got a similar view to deck or not so much? Or
I was interested now that well, to be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised. Ocean Conquest, who did win a maiden and had a mark in 92 for Mick O'Callaghan, hasn't been seen. I think he won that at the age of 2. Hadn't been seen for a year. Was bought out of horses and training sale for only 9 grand. So like someone's taking a chance on it. Look, I don't think he's going to be rated 92 if he's only sold for 9 grand. But we've seen stuff like this happen before. I think the best example was going back to the sprinting here, but Copper Knight was a really talented
my
juvenile,
favorite,
and
my
yeah, he
favorite.
was very, very good as a juvenile. His form dipped off 1 or 2 bad runs. Was bought out a horse and trained itself for 5 grand, and then look, the rest tells itself. I don't think any horse has won at York more than him. So
Absolute
you know
legend.
it can be done if Ocean Conquest fall as well with him. His flat ability as a 2-year-old would give him, assuming he can take a hurdle. He's out of a Galileo mare by time test, so it'd be interesting to see how he does go. He is a bit of an interesting one. Melon, the second coming. I see Josh Guerrero had a bit of probably pulled a fast one, running him over shorter trips and stepping him up to 1 mile and 6 on handicap debut. He won nicely by a fantastic German stallion in an Adlerflug. And out of a Lord of England mare. So the German, they're obviously very clean-winded horses. But obviously as well, Don Cossack went to stand in Germany before he was brought back to Rathbarry Stud in Ireland. So you can get good jump horses from Germany or German bred. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes as well. It's not going to be a race where you're going to have a bet, I don't think, but they'd be the two, like Melon and Ocean Conquest. I'd be interested to see what prices they open at and how they jump, because their flat ability and the way they're one's flat ability and the other's pedigree would just make me kind of raise my eyebrow in comparison to a horse like Lavender Hill Mob, who's by expert eye out of a half sister to bloody James Garfield and was suddenly the second coming when Cone hurdling at Newcastle. But we'll see how that one goes, I suppose, if it's declared as well.
You don't see the twist and the local boys, shall we say, buy too many of these sort of horses as well. So, like you said, they could be seeing something, that's for sure. And they tend to do quite well at this meeting in general. So it could turn out to be a more interesting race than what necessarily meets the eye straight away. Nice insight from Andy and Deck there, Scotty.
Yeah, again, just a race where I had a look at the form and I thought Quantac Hills was interesting. Who Warren Greytrex had a nice juvenile probably about 10, 12 years ago, Baby Mix, who won one of these nice trials. Could be a similar kind of horse for him. And came out and finished second to OPEC up at Weatherby. Was very keen that day, didn't jump that well, and followed up and won next time out at Fontwell, beating Belcamo. And OPEC's gone on to frank the form pretty well in that race. Won a real nice fillies race up at Newbury. beating Prairie Angel. And I think one of James Owen's other horses was in that race, Ambient Amigo, who could potentially line up here. I know Cobden's jobbed up on Liam Swagger, who I think sets the standard, like Dex said. But again, it's just all in the James Owen kind of way here, isn't he? He's best juvenile, in my opinion. East India Ducks obviously not entered in this race, so maybe he's just trying to get a sight, or maybe horses for like the Fred Winter again, like Dex said, they could be in here just to try and get runs in under their belt for their marks. But yeah, I don't know what price Contact Hills will go off, but he'd be of interest to me. I probably reckon he'd be about 5 or 6 to 1 poke in this race, and I'd probably have a small win bet on Contact Hills. And Liam Swagger will probably chase him home. I think that would be my thoughts on the race.
All right, well, we're covering the field anyway. Jamie?
Um, I didn't have really much of a strong opinion of Joe, but one that caught my eye was a horse that Gavin Cromwell's who won at Navan on his debut called Total Look on Tri-Town Day. Form's not spectacular. The horse he beat Beyond Your Dreams was second in his maiden. I'm just trying to work out which one is JP McManus's Boodle's horse. Is it Beyond Your Dreams or Out for a Stroll? Or the eye catcher the whole weekend? I thought, sorry, I should have said that earlier. At Cork on Sunday was Lakota Blue.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the race, I was there at Punchestown that day with It's Bilbo, Out for a Stroll, and Lakota Blue, and they're all eye catchers to me. Uh, but it's a very tentative selection, Joe. If he comes over, Total Look. He was only like an 87 rated flat horse, and nothing to write home about. But he just impressed me a small bit at Navan, jumped a little bit right, but he can get up a hill at Navan, he can get up a hill in Punchestown. Just a stab in the dark, and he's just one that stood out for me. Yeah, Total Look for Gavin Cromwell if he comes over.
All right, well, I hope we got the winner because we've mentioned pretty much all of them there anyway. Not going to struggle. Right, let's go straight on to the December Gold Cup. 2 more 4 interesting races this year. We've got Fugitive at 11 to 2, Madara, who's now with the Scoutons at 6 to 1, Garlaw at 8, Stage Star at 8, Il Rodotto, the Paddy Power winner, at 10 to 1, Grandeur Dam at 10s, Pinkerton, the Galway Plate winner at 16 to 1, and any price you like for the rest. James, I'll stick with you. Who do you fancy in the highlight race of the day?
Um, I have it down to two, John. They're obvious. Especially when they ran in the same car last year over 2 miles and Madara beat in Excelsis Dale. I was humming and hawing on it, but I backed Madara at 9 to 1 anti-post. Obviously it's £7 higher than it wanted the DRF, but he was very eye-catching, I thought, in the Paddy Power. Um, am I very strong in it? No, but it's just the way I worked the route and process of elimination in the whole race. I think it's just between the two of them. I know in Excelsis Deo is still up a couple of pounds higher than he wanted. It was at the April meeting last year over course and distance. He's 12 to 1 each way and put anyone off. I'm not really strong, but it's because of his eye catch and run. It's the first time tried to trip. Um, I think Madara, what is he now? 11 to 2, 6 to 1.
It's
Yeah, I'll go with Madara, yeah.
it's
Madara for me.
probably a little bit short now, though, isn't it? Like people are latching onto his run in the Paddy
Yeah,
Power.
he's a bit
Oh,
short now, but
yeah,
I took the nines. I have it down between. It says my head says Madara, my heart is an Excelsis Deo, but he's a hard horse to ride in Excelsis Deo. You have to really get him,
yeah.
plonk him on the lines. You know what I mean? He's kind of one of those, and he's a tough ride. But I think it's going with a more straightforward horse. Am I as strong as I was on an Il Ridotto for a Paddy Power Cup Gold Cup? I know that's the old track. I'm not, but it's just the way he ran. It was very eye catching for me, and I'll go Madara, yeah, for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Like you said, we're both on Rodotto last time. He's gone up a massive amount in the weights now.
Yeah,
The only thing
he's
I'll
been
say
weighted
about
out a bit now.
the only thing I'll say about In Excelsis Deo, like you said, he leaves himself a lot of work and
A lot of work, yeah.
trying to pass so many horses in this sort of race. Like you need a lot of things to go right for you, and it's not working out for him. So
No.
maybe you're on the right one there, James. But again, I've been wrong plenty of times, so who knows? Scotty?
But yeah, like you said, I think Il Rodotto, I think he's gone up £8 since he won the Paddy Power. So he's kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place now. He's not quite graded, top graded level, and handicaps maybe he's just a wee bit above it now. But I still think he'll run a good race, and I'd expect him to be in the first 3 or 4 here. But it's just the kind of repetitive race we see the same in December, November, the January. It's always the same horses coming back, isn't it, in these races? But
Hmm.
Madara is the interesting one. It's the obvious one. Jamie's covered the points there, but I'm going to go in the race for the Alan King trains, Grande Dame, who's right down the bottom of the weights. just from a perspective that I know they were having their first run out up at Chepstow, the 1-2 from the Paddy Power ran in it, Ilrodotto and Garlaw. He's only gone up, I think it's £4 from that last run. I still think he's got a bit of juice on his mark there. He's obviously right down the bottom of the weights. He'd be one that I definitely back in the race. I believe Shaker Mapari's going to run in the veterans race on the Friday, so he's a course and distance specialist, not to worry about here. But yeah, I think the other one is Pinkerton. He's, like you said, he's won the Galway Plate, and he'd be another one that I think will go well. But yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to back Grandad Dime just on the form line. I think he's got form on both heavy, good ground, good to soft. He goes on anything. This is his trip, and I think 10-1's a fair price each way.
Yeah, I'm all over him with you there, Scott. I think he's the box ticker this time. I think now's the time to catch him. Like you said, he's hardly gone up in the weights as well.
Yeah, I think if he, like you say, he's got that one kind of race. They haven't punished him too much for what he's achieved there up at Chepstow, and once they get him another £7 or £8 for another nice win, I think it'll be a good night for a season and a bit. So I'm in agreement. I think Saturday could be the day to get him just one last time.
Yeah, I fully agree. Deck, any strong opinion on the big one?
Yeah, look, there's two I like. We haven't got decks yet, so I'm going to take two.
Sure.
Pinkerton, I've always been a massive fan of Pinkerton. He won the Galway Plate only 2 chase starts ago, and it was off an Irish mark of 138. He's here in here off 147, a British mark. So, like, I don't think that's too bad at all. Now, he hasn't been too harsh at times this year. Like Kendana only got £3 off him, but like, I'm not sure what his Irish mark was. I'm not sure what he went up for winning the Galway Plate, but it's not too bad. He was no match for Found 50 though, getting a stone off him, but maybe that's just how good Found 50 is, and he might be a right one. And I know Andy thinks that. The other one is Le Patron, 6-year-old, and you might notice myself and Andy are we're ages, and we do like to have age on our side with horses. His 2 chase defeats came in grade 1s and novice events. They were both over this trip, but he beat Scarface the last day in a handicap off 146. He's up £7, 153. It was only 2 weeks ago. Look, if you're looking through the field, there's a lot of 8-year-olds in there. I'm not for 1 minute saying 8-year-olds too old to be winning races, but this horse is going to have, he's ran in graded races. He's going to have more improvement in him. If there's one to cope with, going up the weights, it's going to be Le Patron. So, look, with my record of backing non-runners, I'm going to take 2 without declaration. So it's Pinkerton and Le Patron.
Nice one, Deck. Nice one. Yeah, I like that angle with Le Patron. I was sort of close to mentioning myself. I'm sort of gutted I didn't get in there first, but I fancy Grandeur damn too much, I guess, to mention it. Anyway, Andy, who do you fancy in the race?
Pop quiz, lads. Who did Noel Meade win this race with in 2005?
War of attrition.
No. I can see it. I can see it.
I can't even picture
Carby
it.
Carby was obviously on it.
Carby, yeah, Arse in the air, yeah.
Purple colours with the purple colours.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Named after a delicious juice drink you'd have at your breakfast.
Smoothie.
Yeah. So Saroja. I think it was 2000.
Of course.
I don't know if the race might have been. I think it was the late 90s or something, wasn't it? The race was started. Anyway, look, sorry about that. I'll move on. Deck, you stole my thunder out there a little bit. I really fancy Le Patron. I think he's got a fantastic chance there. Freddie Mitchell is already booked. He's going to take £5 off. Look, he's a keen going sort who, as Deck said, has only found grade 1 company too hot, really, and he's even won a grade 1 on heavy ground over 2 miles, the King Henry last year. So look, he looked like a different horse at Newbury. Jumped fence to fence, was keen, but was he went fine. He's going to be up in the van. You need to be up in the van to win this race. You really can't come from the back here. He's going to be up there with the likes of Gala, Stage Star. Who else is probably going to be up there? Sheikh Mopari's probably going to try, but won't be able to. That's what I'd be worried about with the Nexus Joe and Madara. Another thing about Madara, he is by Dr. Dino, and I have to see it to believe it. I have to see it to believe it when they go over further than 2 miles. Like they do win over further than 2 miles. Like
2
obviously
mile
Jay
one.
DeGrucci last year. Yeah, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
his best horses though, like your Statemans and your Sharjas, and don't say, oh, but Sharja won a novice chase as an 11-year-old at Ayr last year. He won 4 Madisons or whatever. So like
Yeah.
they're very fast horses for national hunt, horses, and we've seen illusions from horses by him before, like Fildor. Like everyone thought he was, he was going to go close in a Ryanair, and maybe he's just not good enough. But like, he's probably a 2 miler at the end of the day. So I'm not saying Madara isn't going to win. It's just that something you have to be very mindful of. That a lot of Dr. Dinos don't usually want further than 2 miles. Very very intriguing runner nonetheless, though. In Excelsius Dale would just. He was a little bit unlucky at the festival, wasn't he? And he was unseeded last time out. He was probably not going to be winning though. But anyway, going back to Le Patron, I thought he put it all together, and he's a horse that could be better than handicap class this year, especially that he's only 6 rising 7. And I'd love to see one of my favourite horses in training, Gala, go well. He's probably my favourite horse in the UK.
Has he won this?
He won.
No, he won the
No,
Paddy
he
Power,
didn't.
didn't he?
He won the Paddy Power, and then he won basically, as I think it was either Jamie or Scotty said it. Like, this race is basically reincarnated about 7 times a season at Cheltenham. He won the race on Trials Day last year, I think. So
He
yeah,
did, that was
clearly
his
likes the track.
comeback, yeah.
Yeah, clearly likes the track. Probably wants 3 miles now these days though. Like he was staying on in that Paddy Power. And I'd imagine the handicapper probably has him, like, I'd say, 155, 156. That's what Gala is. I don't know if he's a 160 horse, and I don't even think running to 160. Like, he's going to want more than £4 in hand to probably win this race. So it's going to be Le Patron for me. I think he's a really solid chance, and a horse that has the opportunity to become a graded horse this season.
Yeah, good. Nice one, Andy. Thanks for that. I thought you were going to slag off Dr. Dino for a while. I wasn't going to be happy because I absolutely love him.
No. He's a fantastic stallion. They're all very fast horses. That's all.
They're clearing up bumpers left, right, and centre at the moment. They've they had one today for Paul Nichols, Di Watershed. I think it was called Doctor on Call. Hereford hosed up. I think
French
Steel.
Navy is the only stallion he doesn't like.
Who?
French Navy.
A French Navy.
He's Marine National stallion, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's over in Bahrain now, French
He's
Navy.
in Azerbaijan or something.
I know the woman who has the last 2 French Navies.
Do you really? Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
And he knows it as well.
He's
are they any good?
Deck is trying to sell you the horse, Joe, before you.
Well, French Navy, as you said, is obviously Marine Nationale, but there's one they've got with John Joe as well, called Regal Blue, I think he's called as well, sort of thing. They're all speed, man. Anyway, we won't go down that tangent. Let's just move on.
First time tongue tie, first time wind up in
debut
on a bumper.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
No, really mustn't.
Right. 3 o'clock. We got the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle over 3 miles. Skyjack Hijack, who you just love to own, at 5-2. Clondor General at 7-2. Western Knight at 9-2. Ace of Spades at 6. Jet Blue at 6-1. 10-1 for Excelso. And any price you like for the rest. Let's stick with you then, Deck.
Yeah, look, maybe my strongest selection of the British racing. We'll get the Cork in a couple of minutes for the Christmas money, but look, Clondar General, I think could be a good thing here. Like, he was probably going as fast as he wanted at Worcester the last day, but it's that type of horse you want. He was going, like, not picking up the bridle in an Albert Bartlett, or just 3 miles on the new course at all. They're doing very, very little, and they're saving it all for when they get to the bottom of the hill and you look up and you have to climb it. You've got, that long distance between the second last and the last as well. You need to be saving so much. He stayed on strongly that last day at Worcester over 2 miles 7. He's up and trip. The second from his point to point is one on the track, and he's actually in here as well about damn time. But Clondar General just strikes me as a proper 3 mile new course Cheltenham horse. If I was to give you a danger, it's probably Western Knight. The 2 of them are actually 5. He was the second from his Utoxeter Maiden has followed up, and he toughed it out against Excello, who's in here as well, or Ascot. But I just think Clondar General is taking a lot of the boxes for 3 miles at Cheltenham over hurdles on the new course.
Yeah, he was one of my sort of horses to follow for the point-to-point scene. I like what he did. Kim Bailey's been buying some good horses this year as well. I tell you, there's a few of these English trainers that are buying well, should we say, at least this season. No love for Skyjack, Hijack.
Are they buying expensive or are they buying well?
He was 150 grand, so he wasn't the most expensive, to be fair. So in the sense of what
Yeah.
you can go for, and he's had a couple others as well. Can't think of their names, but Jamie Snowden's another. He bought Epic West for about 80 grand. He won on debut. There's been some decent purchases, so it's nice to see. Anyway, that's what we say. It's nice to see that go on both sides of the water. Andy,
Yeah, you can't name a horse Jet Blue and then end up in an Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle, can you? Like that's naming a horse after an aeroplane and you rock up over staying distances. No, money messing. Look, I've no real opinion on this race, Joe. Yeah, like I thought Clondalk General would be, he was decent enough on his debut at Worcester, but like I do say like speed kills those that don't have it. I will not back a horse that wins 3 miles at Worcester and going straight to Cheltenham. I would rather look for a horse that is stepping up in trip. Like there's 13 entries. I don't know how many of these are going to fall by the wayside when they do get declared. Circuit Breaker was a long way behind Royal Infantry, as we said there. Quite interesting stepping straight up from 2 miles to 3 miles, but like he only ran like last weekend, so I just or in the middle of last week. So 10 days gone from soft ground to Haydock to a 3 mile Albert Bartlett trial is a complete deal breaker for me as well. So yeah, I suppose the racing fan of me would like to see Skyjack Hijack continue his astronomical surge through the grades and ranks, and hopefully he does win. But I've no strong opinion on, to be honest with you.
yeah, that's fair enough. Andy, Scotty.
Yeah, with Andy here, I haven't got a massive opinion in the race. It's a tricky one to work out. I just thought if he ran possibly the Greenland Guerrero horse about Dan Time, he's double entered though. He's up at Newcastle. I think he's a 16-1 shot for this. He was a good point-to-point winner back in January and won his maiden hurdle up at Carlisle over 2.5 miles, beating Kevin's Pride. He was only just doing enough that day, but he really stuck his head down, and I thought the step up to 3 miles would really suit the horse. And I thought 16 was a fair price just to find out. Again, maybe like a small stake, but again, depending if he gets declared, he could end up running at Newcastle. So I'd be looking at him whichever race he went for in that. But I think the most likely winner is probably Skyjack Hijack for Sean Quinlan, who's jocked up the Candlish team. So it's not a strong opinion whatsoever, and a race that I probably won't get involved in. But if about damn time did turn up, he'd be of interest. But again, not a strong opinion.
Yeah, fair enough, Scott. It's like me, not too much of an opinion here, a little bit behind with finding the selections. Jamie?
Yeah, I just echo all of that. I'd say, Joe, I think Sky, hopefully, is exactly what Andy said. The racing fan in me sees Hijack winning. I think he'll just win. It's a poor race, in my opinion, very poor. I think he'll just jump him on into the ground, really. He'll slow it down, he'll go quick. I think 2-1. It's up to you if you want to keep going with the hype and the progression of the horse. The mark of 138 now, which is massive. So when he started it, I think he'll just win, and that's about it. Really, that's my opinion of the race.
Yeah, okay, nice one, Jamie. Well, that wraps up the preview for the weekend racing. We'll go around and just get a few of the best bets of the weekend. I know Deck seems to be quite sweet on a few. Jamie, you've got a handful as well for this weekend. So, Connor, Deck, let's start with your selections for the best bets.
Here comes me.
Which one? Would you want to go first, Joe? Deck or
Deck,
me?
sorry, yeah, Deck. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Deck.
Yeah, look, there's two I like at Cork and hopefully one for the next day as well. The 105, it's a handicap hurdle over 2 miles. Warden's Whisper, Philip Rothwell. He's up £3 for his tour the last day. He was toured to Robert Toyner horse Impulse, Irish Impulse, was winning 2 in a row after having duck eggs for about, I don't know, 8 races. But that's the thing with Robert Toyner. There's no pattern to Robert Toyner. It just happens when he decides. But the stablemate actually followed up, who was second. Warden Whisper's only a short head behind. He is up to £3, which I don't always like, but I think it's a very, very winnable race. So, yeah, look, Warden's Whisper is just a little appetizer or your dessert, and you might want to do a double. The other horse, Heidi's Frontier, in this race, a danger of fit, but probably the next day. I will go. It's probably going to be the next day. But the Christmas money I was talking about. Look, they come up every now and again. I'm really, really bullish about this, so I'm really confident. And me and Andy were quite lucky last year, our first year with Tap, where maybe it was the ground, but they were coming along frequently, and it was weekly nearly. But Knocknagowan lady, she's rated 86. It's her second time in a handicap. Our debut was over this trip, and she stayed on quite well. She was then dropped back to the 2 mile 2, and she stayed on again. Our last maiden run was over 2 mile 2, where she was never better than midfield, just the stuff we want to see. And then they dropped her right back to 2 miles in her handicap debut. And whether that's just in education, jumping at pace, because when you go from an Irish maiden to an Irish handicap, it's chalk and cheese, and the pace is so different. So, giving her a really, really good education over 2 miles. Again, she was never better than midfield, but just not showing her hand too much. Showing you a 5-year-old, she's probably going to open bar to 1, and we'll have the Christmas money on it.
What time was that, Deck? What time was that?
Oh, sorry, 2:12. They're trying to show us off already. 2:12 on Friday.
These woke times.
2.5 mile handicap hurdle. I think it's an out to 95. She rated 86. Look, lads, you can go back and anti-post all you want, or you can just have it all on this thing on Friday.
I love
Make
that.
everybody on Friday.
Christmas paid for on Friday by Deck. I love that. I love it. Is that it for you then, Deck, those two?
What do you want, another one, Joe?
Mate, as many winners as you got.
Come here. Santa Claus has just arrived, and you're looking for another one.
I love it. I love it. Right, Andy, any best bets for the long weekend?
Yeah, I'll throw two at you. No, I'm working without declarations here, obviously. So they're both on Saturday. I'll stay in Cheltenham for the moment. The last race of the day at 3:35, the BetMGM Mares Handicap Hurdle. Probably don't bet with them, or else you might get paid. According to everyone on Twitter. No, I'm only messing. But I do like the look of the Stuart Crawford horse, Lily de Burley, who was a talented bumper mare back in the day. She is still a novice because she won her 2 hurdle races in the spring of last year. So decent ground is pretty important to her. She won it up at Ayr and then also at Kelso. She was just not going anywhere on the ground, but when she was well beaten by the road less travelled. Given her price, I'm not 100% sure she is going to run in this last race on Saturday. She is 16-1, and Crawford does also have Brucio in it. Who I think won at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah, she won.
Minx Tiara. Yeah, she's another one that would relish this test. Look, to be honest with you, you could back either of them, because I'd imagine only one of them is going to run. But I would like to see Lily de Burley run here, because I think Cheltenham would really suit her. And the decent ground, forecasted decent ground. It's not going to be very, very testing, I wouldn't imagine. I don't know if there's much rain forecast. I don't think there is. I think she'd have a serious chance in the last race. She's around 16-1 at the minute, but maybe wait until declarations. I don't know if I'd be getting involved anti-post. And the other one I just want to mark up, and this one is a horse I absolutely love for the season ahead. It's at the half past 12, so the second race at Ferryhouse on Saturday. It is the McInerney Properties rated novice chase. So these rated novice chases are a really good incentive throughout Ireland. So basically, if you have a mark of 140 or less over hurdles, you can run in these chases. They're much better than those pull your handicap chase mark out of thin air limited handicaps that you have in the UK, where you only ever get 3 or 4 runners. I think a system like this would be more beneficial in the UK. Because they really do work in Ireland. Horses can come through the ranks. Bland's Tower being a perfect example of that last year. But the current horse here, Thomas Gibney, Kintur Calanisi, this is a horse I think could win an Irish Grand National. This is a serious horse who ran a blinder, in my opinion, behind Better Days Ahead and Slade Steele on his chasing debut at Navan. And they, Thomas Gibney wasn't afraid for. I thought he'd be out the back of the telly just hacking around getting experience, but they had to go, and fair play to them. And this horse is going to be, I'd be pretty surprised this horse wasn't better than 140 over fences. What he did at Navan would be enough to make me think he could win this race. And I'm fairly sure Thomas Gibney's has all the faith in the world in this horse. I think he'll win this, and keep him on side for a race like the Irish Grand National, because I think he's going to be that good. I think that's pretty much it. The only other horse I'd want to mention, I'm not going to be backing him, but if he did turn up against Malsborough, I would take on Malsborough with Asian Master, assuming he had professional handling on him. But he could run on Monday at Naas, so just keep an eye on him as well. He'd be probably odds on if he runs at Naas, but he'd be worth a little bet against Malsborough if they do run him against the Triumph Hurdle winner on Saturday.
Perfect, lovely. Thanks, Andy. It's Lily de Burley and Kinta Calanisi in the 12:30 at Fairy House.
Yeah.
Scotty, what's your best of the week? You've both been on a good run so far. So what have we got?
Well, just to say, I'm going to be out on the piss at my darts do on Saturday, so I probably won't remember what I backed. So hopefully this time next week we'll have some good news. But yeah, I'm going to back Chianti Classico. I think he's obviously going to be carrying top weight in the 150 in the handicap chase at Cheltenham. That's on Friday. I definitely think he'll win the race. I think 15-8 is fair to find out. And if he wins that, he's probably got a run in something like the Cotswold, maybe after Christmas in his lead up to the National. So I'll be back in Chianti Classico. The other horse that I did like was in the last at Cheltenham on the same day, and that's Doyen Quest. Again, it's quite an obvious one, but I still think 2-1 is a fair price. I think he's going to take all the beating in that. But my nap of the weekend will be Grand de Dame in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. I'm pretty keen he's going to run a big race in that. So yeah, I'd be awfully keen to get stuck in on him, and I think 10-1 is a good price, like I said, each way. But yeah, it's not a weekend where I can say I'm 100% massive on anything, but they'd be the three that I'd be keen on having a few win bets on.
Yeah, nice. Just got a nap in the big one. Always good to see. And then finally, Jamie, what you got for us? I think you got about 1 million this week, haven't you?
I have two for each day, Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday. Joe, and obviously we're going against no declarations, but in the 115, I was harping about this horse last week to run at Sandown in the race, Knickerbocker Glory run. Off a mark of 130 on a bit of better ground, Wilmount has to be backed. He's 4-1 there, I see, with Paddy Power. I'll be back in that. In the last, Diane Quest obviously is up £10 from the Paddy Power meeting, but it was given £7 to the horse who I going to tip at 8-1 for David Pipe. Now he has to give him £16 for a 7-lane beating at the Paddy Power meeting. And 8-1, I think, each way bet of the whole weekend is thanks for the help. We had a friend of ours on at the time with the Paddy Power meeting, and he was all over him. I thought it was still a good run behind Diane Quest. Look, Diane Quest up £10. It's up to you if you want to back it 7-4, but no, I'm all over. Thanks for the help anyway. The 12:40 on Saturday. Sorry, Joe. Is a horse that you have a horse to follow. Just keep an eye on him if he runs. In the 3 mile one limited handicap chase is Isaac Dezobo. I think he's definitely better than he was at Chepstow anyway. Destroyed Evans obviously was beaten by Bow to Greatness at Newbury afterwards, and Bow to Greatness wasn't great at Newcastle, was he, the last day? But he's definitely one to keep on side. And Andy, I will take you on in the 3:35 on Saturday, with the form of Celtic Dino, who Joe crings his pants about. Wade out was second, and Joyous was 6.5 lengths behind Celtic Dino. A mark of 119, I think, is absolutely thrown in, and I think it'll win. And I think it'll win easy. That's Joyous for Nicky Henderson and Nico de Pointville. And now I'm going to shut up.
Yeah,
what trip is that race?
What?
What trip is that race?
2 miles.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, love
It
it.
is 2 miles, Andy, isn't it?
No, it's 2 mile 4.5, man.
It's 2 mile 4. I was thinking that. No, I'm all over
Joy is by no risk at all, though. She's not by Dr. Dino, is he? So.
Yeah. You have a chance now.
Celtic
But
Dino.
no, I'm all over Joyous.
Dino's by Dr. Dino.
Yeah. Celtic Dino is your Betfair hurdle winner in waiting, and if he wins that, he could even go to the Supreme. This is a good horse.
I tell you what, lad, just when you mentioned the Betfair, I was at Fairy House a few weeks ago, and the horse that was it was the race that Bottler Secret ran in, but the horse that was second was a British Raider trained by Harriet Dickin.
Dodger Long.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's
Dodger Long.
Dodger Long, and yeah, that's where he's going. That's what he's been aimed at. And you know, we actually seen 2 good horses at Fairy House that weekend, and they're going to have right chances in the Betfair. Washington was the other one, but
yeah,
I had a good chat with the owners of Dodger Long, and lovely people, and it was great to see. And they picked up toward if look, he travelled so well. If he didn't take the jockey there, they might have picked up second. It was the good horse of Willie's Amsterdam or something, was it?
Yeah,
Amsterdam, yeah.
mustard.
Yeah, but
Absolute mustard.
see that Dodger Long? He's a nice horse. When he goes over fences, he could be anything. He's one to keep an eye on. And you know, I hope they get him over fences next season. I would have been tempted to go this season, but I'd say he'll have a right chance in the Betfair now.
Okay. Love that. Some dark horses for us there then as well. Right, look, well, that wraps up the review and the preview. We spent a long time with this, so I don't want to take up too much more time. But just a quick word from Andy and Deck. Andy, I know you're not a massive anti-post punter. Deck, I'm not totally sure if you are or aren't, but have you got any...
I only back Captain Guinness anti-post. That's
You
all
only back
every week.
Captain Guinness. Right. Okay. Quick thought. Let me chuck a race here and just give me your thoughts each, rather than taking too long. Champion Hurdle. We've got Lossiemouth as favourite. We've obviously got State Man for the Donnellys, but now we've got Amsterdam, possibly Sir Gino. We've got Kitzbühel. Constitution Hill, is he coming back? Is he not? Give us the lowdown, boys, and we're leaving it at that for this week.
For me, for as impressive as Lossiemouth was, and I think, you know, when it turned into a bit of a sprint, it did suit her. I do think she could be anything, but for me, State Man is he's still the man, and he's still the one to be. I don't know whether anyone's ever been at the races when he's been there. Well, obviously he's been at Cheltenham and seen him, but he's the ultimate professional. He just gets the job done. I think he was beaten by a fitter mare. He actually headed her and probably blew up, and she beat him then. Like, he didn't fade away. He ran on again. I think he's still the one to be. I think he's an absolute superstar, but he's the quiet man. There's nothing flash about him. He's not giddy in the ring. You know, you're not really taken to him because he just gets the job done and does it well. He's very, very efficient, and he's going to have that longevity about him because he's so efficient. You know, he's not winning by 20 lengths. And now Andy knows the right thing. I firmly believe when you often see horses in Britain and they're running away winning 20 lengths, I think they're eating into their mileage. I thought what Paul done and Lossiemouth was, you know, perfect. Eased her down. It's about winning the next race. It's not about showing off for this race and getting this stupidly high rating. Ratings aren't worth anything to grade one horses. So I still think State Man is the one to beat in the champion hurdle.
I love it. The true deserved champion, full campaign of grade ones. And look, he's ginger. He deserves to win it, doesn't he? Andy, who do you fancy in the champion hurdle? What are your thoughts on it at the moment? Have you got many thoughts on it?
My opinion on the champion hurdle changes every other day, Joe, to be honest with you. It's really like, it's fascinating. It's probably the most competitive champion hurdle I can remember since, you know, maybe like Beauverdare and Mellon and obviously that exceptional 5-year-old. I'm not saying this as like
it had Marina Appleschade, Beauverdare.
Yeah, it was so wide open that renewal, and then obviously we've had like shorties kind of really ever since. Look, it'd be hopefully Constitution Hill comes back, but given what's been said about him, he's had colic, and you know he hasn't looked the same horse in 2 racecourse gallops. Like, I'd be very, very concerned. Lossiemouth, look, she's beaten a stayer at Fairyhouse, but extremely impressive in doing so. Brighter days ahead. Look, I still don't know how she won that Morgiana the way she jumped, but she did. State Man probably needed to run. But again, as the lads have mentioned, I'm not sure he's in love with Cheltenham, especially that old course. The one horse that I wanted to say, I don't know if you lads could actually shed some light on it. You're going to laugh, but I don't care. I haven't seen him this season, and I don't know where he is. But does anybody know?
You're going to say Absurd?
No, I was going to. Well, fair enough, but I was going to say Favour and Fortune for Alan King.
He had it
because, yeah, go on.
He had a setback. He was meant to run in the Greatwood, I believe.
Greatwood.
I was all over him for the Greatwood, Andy. I was looking forward to him, but I think his target is going to be the race at Ascot. I think he's going to be running in that.
Brilliant.
I think he's entered.
Okay.
I think.
Right.
In the Betfair Exchange handicap. I'll check that, but I think so.
Right. Yeah, I just thought that horse has so much left. Again, doesn't do a whole lot in front. Won the Scottish Champion hurdle. look, people probably forget that how bad of a mistake he made early on in the Supreme, and he still ran a blinder. I think he was fifth. I'm not saying he would have won the Supreme, far from it, but
Sure.
he's a horse I just think could have 15, 20 pounds in hand if the setback hasn't caused any issues. Now 15, 20 pounds would only get him flirting with 160, but he's a horse, and I wouldn't be saying back him anti-post, but he's the one that I'm really interested in, and he could just, you know, announce himself on the party. Now, he'd be a horse that'd be 25 or 33 to 1 on the day. Like, you don't need to be going to back him, but he's the one that is just, I really want to keep a close eye on him, because I think he's a really nice horse, and I think they kept him hurdling for a reason, because he can progress. So yeah, he's the one I quite like in the division. Do I want to part my money with him? There's no point. Sure, it'd be a nice price at Ascot if he turns up there, like the lad said. But he's the one that I would love to I'd love to see announce himself as an outsider, at least in the division.
I'm massively with you, and I put him up as one of my dark horses to follow for the season. I've just looked; he's 11-4 anti-post favourite for the race at Ascot in next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if he's fit, he'll win. You can take that.
Yeah, sorry, Scott. Is Dodger Long in that race, the Ladbroke next week?
You and Dodger Long.
Dodger Long's not there.
No. I think they're going there and then to the Betfair. That's the route they're taking.
I see.
You've also got Lily de Burley in the betting, the one Andy mentioned earlier. She's in the anti-post betting, and I think the other horse we know is Altabelli, the one I got pulled on the weekend.
Yeah, Harry Fries.
Yeah,
it's a warm out race now.
Is my horse in that as well?
Who you got?
Di Sardinas.
she's not there now.
Come on now.
She'll
Probably
be
looking for good ground.
She is looking for good ground. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they won't get that at Ascot.
No,
Christmas,
no,
I wouldn't say.
You
So
can't
yeah,
get that
that's what we do.
Ascot on the flat.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, favour and
You spin your
fortune
point
wins
on the
next-
ground. Yeah.
Favour and fortune wins next week. Then, according to Andy, we won't go into that preview just yet. But final
There's
part
a
of
tip for
the
you.
final part of the episode, as we always do, we got head to head between Scotty and Jamie. Any fancies to add to the anti-post book this week?
I don't anyway, so I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put it up now for the Ryanair chase. People crabbed me last time for recency bias, but I don't care because I like Jello. I'm going to stick Jello up at 20s for the Ryanair. Looking again at the market, I think it's after his performance on the weekend. Ginny's Destiny has been pretty flat the first 2 runs this year, but Protectorate went off favourite for the race, and I know he was. I think he was running still top weight in that race, if I'm right. But the way Jello just accelerated and went past him. Took up the running there 3 out. Charlie Deutsch, it was all over, and it's going to be the only race he'll be targeted at. You can guarantee he's going to run there, and I think he's massively progressive still. Young horse, typical Venetia, classic kind of chaser she trains, tough as old boots, and I do think beating Protectorate, who won the Ryanair last year in that fashion, you can't say. I wouldn't be scared of taking him on, at Cheltenham. And yeah, I think Jello at 20s is a fair price. You've got the likes of Ilite Thompson, who's ahead of him in the betting, who probably will run in that race at Cheltenham if he comes back to being fit. I know he's had a bit of a delay this season. You've got the likes of Gaelic Warrior, El Fabiolo, who are in the race, not guaranteed to run. So yeah, I think if you take out all of the garbage ahead of him in the market, you may only have 2 that are ahead of him at the moment that could turn up. I think Jello will definitely go off a single price. Kind of single price for the Ryanair. I think you may see him again potentially at the at Ascot maybe later in the season, maybe a race like that, maybe one more run in the Ryanair. But I think 20 to 1's a very good price anti-post, and I'd definitely be keen on him.
Yeah, nice and Scotty. Jello for the Ryanair. I wouldn't worry about the recency bias. You've been following him for a long time now. You're totally allowed to add him to the book. Right, okay. Well, that wraps it up. I'm sorry for everyone that it went on for so long. We usually have 4 of us, but we couldn't have Deck without Andy. We couldn't have Andy without Deck. Thanks so much for coming on with us. A lot of my followers, if you like, and people in my group are really excited to see you two come on to channel. Appreciate that we've taken a lot of your time, but much appreciated. If you just tell everyone where they can find you, I'm sure they already know.
You do the honours, Deck.
Yeah, well, look, come here. We're not competition either, lads, because
no.
I think our podcast is quite unique in where we cover Irish racing. We try to promote Irish racing, and we cover full cards, so you can have maiden hunter chases, you've maiden hurdles, auction maidens, beginner chases, 0 to 95 handicaps, right up to grade 1s of our hurdles and fences. So, we just like to do our bit for Irish racing. It's a sport where we're very passionate about, and and we really love. Irish racing gets a lot of stick, but I think it's just because people don't understand it, and you know, we're kind of helping you understand it, and you know, you see these big prize winners people are giving out, but we're finding them for you, and it's been okay lately, but it's been a slow start to the season, but it's about to kick off on Friday. And once you back that winner, you'll be happy to listen to us again. So it's called Take a Pull Podcast, or it's been shortened to TAP for short. But look, like you guys, we're just doing this, you know, because we love the sport really. So yeah, give us a listen, and hopefully you learn something about Irish racing, and you might fall in love with it because we love it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I think what's very likable about you two as well, like you said, you're just genuine, proper racing fans from the maiden hurdles all the way up to the great graded races. And look, I'll put the links below for Andy and Deck. As I said, a lot of people that follow myself, Jamie, and Scott have already said they've been really looking forward to seeing Andy and Deck on. So I'm sure you're following these two already. But if you're not, please do go over and give them a follow. You won't regret it, that's for sure. And as for my two wingmen, Jamie, Scotty, thanks again. Nice to add another selection to the book, Scotty. Hopefully we can add some more winners, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cheers.